Hello and welcome to Weeb. Today I'm gonna start a new series. What if Naruto played a death game with no return? If you enjoy this video, please give it a big thumbs up, and to watch more videos like this, subscribe to my channel and turn that bell notification on so you never miss an upload. Now wasting no more time, let's begin.
People have always believed that they have a wonderful life and don't need to treasure the things that are most important to them. But killing someone else without cause and ruining other people's lives for your own sick little game. Killing people for your own enjoyment. I think it's disgusting to kill someone who is innocent and pure. I attempted suicide by driving over a cliff, but I managed to survive because my body was unable to stop the disease that was destroying it. I considered sneaking out for assistance if the American doctor was unable to treat my illness. An old friend of mine told me that there was a big, secret island in the Far East, somewhere between the coasts of Japan and the United States. They claimed to have the world's top doctors. My search led me to Konoha, where I'm hoping to find someone who can help me recover from my illness. John hopes to find the assistance he needs when he travels by boat to Konoha. At Konoha Hospital, the doctor told John Kramer, also known as Jigsaw, who he would eventually become, "I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do, sir. I'm sorry, but there was one person who could have helped you, but she no longer is here." John put on his black coat with a hood and said, "I see, thank you for your time." The third Hokage, also known as Sarutobi, then entered the room because he wanted to speak with John because he was the first Aincrya visitor in a very long time. Sarutobi said to John, "May I have a word with you?" "What would you like to talk about then?" John asked, nodding his head and sitting down in a white chair. "You are the first outsider we had in a very long time, and you speak our language very well." Sarutobi giggles. John got up to leave the door, but Sarutobi blocked his path. "Your language is very much the same as Japanese, so it wasn't hard. Now if you may excuse me, I must go." "Why don't you stay here for a while? Your ride won't be ready until tomorrow, so please stay here tonight. We're having a special event for the Chunin exams the children will encounter within 7 days. Sarutobi provides this for John to enjoy. After a brief period of silence, John said, "Okay." He did not sound angry, worried, or depressed. "I'm sorry that our medical stuff couldn't help you. If only Tsunade was here. She could have healed your illness, Mr. Kramer." As Sarutobi watched John leave the hospital and enter the village, John said, "Call me John. It's okay, there's nothing you could have done. If I die, then I guess I have to deal with it then." John then gave a small laugh before leaving the room. Sarutobi couldn't help but smile, knowing that although John was a good man, he was simply lost. Alongside John noticed that everyone was having a good time as he strolled through Konoha's streets. Some went out to drink with friends or family, while others went out to dance with their loved ones. But John discovered that one person was exactly like him. He was lost. John noticed a boy with blonde, spiky hair, crystal blue eyes, and an orange jumpsuit. Sitting alone on the rooftop of his apartment, the boy observed everyone having a good time, but he felt isolated and gloomy. John then said, "Shouldn't you been with them, your friends?" To get the boy's attention. The child sighed, "I don't any friends. I thought I had one, but my friend died a week ago. The only thing that my friend left behind for me haunt me." John inquired, "What did your friend say? Who do you cherish, and if you do cherish them, why do you cherish them? What is your reason?" "What did your friend cherish?" "My friend Haku cherished the life of a ninja named Zabuza. Although Zabuza was an evil strong rouge ninja with no honor. Yet Haku respected Zabuza and died protecting him. What do I have to cherish? I don't have anything. I was born alone. I never knew my mother or my father." The youngster breathed deeply. "Mind if we talk?" John inquired to the child. The boy jumped down from his apartment and said, "Sure." John asks, "What is your name, young man?" "Name Naruto Uzumaki. My dream is to become the greatest Hokage ever. But I can't ever show everyone because every time I just screw up when that sand ninja pick on Konohamaru and his friends. I couldn't do anything to save my friends because I was weak and Sasuke had to come along and make it even worse. Is my life truly worth it at all?" John responded. John listened to him calmly, as though he were a grandfather figure to the boy, and said, "Everyone's life is worth something, Naruto. You just need to find your reason why you think it worth. What do you cherish? What make you keep on living each and every day?" "What keeps me going is my dream. I want to become Hokage so everyone will respect me, but how when there's stronger people out there? Sakura won't fall in love with me because I'm too weak and not strong or brave like Sasuke ever. I don't want he cherish he just an asshole who, just thinking about him make me mad grr. Naruto grumbles as John laughs. John pauses and observes that Naruto's left neck has a scar. Naruto, where did you get that scar? He asks. Angry is not the best strength if you wish to reach your dreams. Your mind have to be focused in. I got that when I was 7. Some drink fool beat me then stabbed me with a broken bottle. I thought I was going to die, but the third Hokage found me and I was saved. He's the one who I cherish because of him and Iruka-sensei. I don't know what I would be right now. Naruto laughs as he unzips his jacket to reveal the scar on his neck. So you cherish them. Not just them. They're others, but in this village they're bad people, very bad. I see thief and thugs. I don't to do something about this, but I can't. I don't want to case trouble for doing something right. I want to protect my village from bad people. The village does have people with good heart, but sometimes I think there are some beyond being saved. Naruto sighs and frowns. I understand how you feel. No too long ago I lost someone very special to my life. I was going to be a father with my beloved wife, Jill. But Jill had a miscarriage and I lost my son. Thanks to a thief named Cecil, but I want to show Cecil the errors of his way. I want to bring justice to not only him, but many others of those who preyed on the weak and powerless. Naruto smiles slightly and says, yeah, that's really sad. If I were you, I would teach him a lesson. Yes, you are correct. Naruto, you have 7 days until the Chunin exams take place. Is that correct? By the way, my name is John. John replied to Naruto. Yeah, why do you ask? As John said his name, Naruto. Yes, John. John grinned and said, would you like to play a game? While surveying the expansive warehouse, Naruto asked John, so this is where you stay? He changed into a typical American outfit, such as light black pants and a light orange shirt. John made a brief laugh and said, yes, something like that. Now, Naruto, there's something I want you to do. Yes, John. Naruto asked, turning around with a broad smile. Naruto, I want you to locate this man. John handed Naruto a digital camera and showed him images of Cecil, the man who caused Jill to miscarry John's child. John nodded and said, I understand, John, I'm track him down with no problem. John grinned and gave Naruto a pat on the back as Naruto climbed the warehouse stairs and exited through a window. After you locate him, I want you to take a picture of where he lives and where he most hangs out. Tracking Cecil's locations proved to be difficult as a tracker, but using his ninja skills wasn't a problem at all. With so many buildings to admire or use as cover, Naruto thought the city was one big jungle. When Naruto discovered Cecil's usual hangout spot in Chinatown downtown during the day, he discovered that Cecil was not only a drug addict but also a thief. Naruto returns to John shortly after, showing him a picture of Cecil's daily location and activities. Naruto stared at the photo he took and said, so what ya think, John? Let go and see our friend, John said, grabbing his black coat. When Naruto and John arrived in downtown Chinatown, John instructed Naruto to either play with the child or assist the elderly. Naruto followed John's instructions while he was looking for Cecil. John keeps his distance from Cecil while following him around. John took the life of an unborn child who was ready for this world, ready to live, ready to learn, ready to speak his first word, ready to open his eyes and see his mother's and father's faces. Instead of feeling sad or angry, John only felt sympathy for Cecil. However, that will never happen. John experienced some anger, but he managed to remain composed. John removed a small bottle, covered it with a small piece of cloth, and turned it upside down. From a distance, John noticed that there were pig masks inside. John covered his face with a pig mask and concealed the tiny cloth inside the second mask. When Cecil wasn't looking, John appeared behind him and covered his face with the mask, putting Cecil to sleep. John and Cecil then disappeared from Chinatown. Naruto received a call on his cell phone, which John gave him, while he was playing with the kids there. Naruto said, yeah, this is Naruto. As Naruto left Chinatown and headed back to John, John said on the phone, meet me back at the warehouse, there's something I want to show you, something that will begin your lesson of cherishing a life. John's warehouse. As John caught the man who had killed his firstborn child, Naruto could only grin. Cecil was strapped to a chair, bleeding from his legs, and his arms were bound to the chair by a piece of metal that stabbed him in the arms and legs. As I stood behind Cecil, taking in the show, Cecil finally woke up to see John. It's you. Why you did this to me? Cecil moaned in agony. John appeared to be very composed about this. he didn't scream or yell at Cecil. John walked around Cecil, who was staring at him, and said, "No, you did this to yourself. You took the life of an innocent child. I'm sorry, please give me time to explain." John grabbed a screwdriver and said, "No, I can't give you time, no one can, time is an illusion." Cecil said, Look, I'm sorry, I'm sorry." John looked down at Cecil and said, "I forgive you, Cecil. I really do, but a dick have ruined your life." Cecil, bleeding from the chair he was in, said, "I'm bleeding, man. Please just let me go. I could let you go." John gave a nod, "But that wouldn't serve you. But I'll talk you what I will do, I'll give you a tool that will help you reclaim your life. That has corrupted your soul." Cecil looks away from John and groans, "I don't have a fucking soul." "Maybe you will in the next life, Cecil. You see, things aren't consequential. Good things don't lead to good things and bad to bad. People steal, don't get caught, others live the good life. Others lie and cheat, and get elected. Some people come to help a stranded traveler and get taken out. There's no accounting for it, how you play your cards, it matters." John said to Cecil, "Look at me, do you understand what I'm saying to you?" Cecil nodded, and John did the same. No, I mean yeah, I understand." John and Naruto both scowl at this point, saying, "You're fucking nuts." "Whoa, what the fuck is that?" exclaimed Cecil as John turned away from Cecil and went behind him to retrieve something. John looked up at Naruto and nodded his head. John wrapped the big knife helmet around Cecil's head while using a screwdriver to tighten the bolts. "It's the tool that's going to save your life, and I want to play a game." "Your life is a lie, Cecil. Here is your moment of truth. As a drug addict and a thief, you prey on the kindness of others to fuel your addict. Today we're bring out the ugliest inside you out into the open. Now in order for you to stay alive, you have to match your face with the ugliest of your soul." Cecil screamed, "Lean forward into the knives with your face." John grinned, "Press hard enough and you'll release the arm and leg restraints that bind you." Cecil was unable to move at all. Cecil cursed John, saying, Why, you're sick fuck. Fuck you. Or you can wait out to bleed to death. Live or die, Cecil, make your choices." John replied. The device that John had strapped Cecil to broke shortly after he saw him thrust his face through the knives, leaving him free, still bleeding, but free. Cecil swings his arms at John, saying, "Oh, you're fucking dead, so fucking dead." But John moves out of the way and falls into a box of barbed wires behind him. Cecil continued to scream and yell as he moved around. Naruto questioned John, "You think he could have learned his lesson?" As Naruto and John exited the room, John shook his head and said, "Like you said, there are some people that are beyond being saved. But they have to save themselves. I understand, John. Come, there is much more work we have to do before your time is up. Naruto, when our time is, I want you to prove to other in Konoha that you yourself is somebody, not a nobody. You have show them the error of their ways. Other then will you be able to protect them from the wrong path of life. Do you understand, Naruto?" "Yes, I understand." Naruto smiled at John and the boy nodded. "Who else shall we help, John?" John said to Naruto, "Remember this one, the heart must not be there. It must not be revenge. You will help, you are saving lives, but the choice is up to them to make. Live or die, make your choice. I believe an officer by the name of Hoffman is in of help." John laughs. "Well, let's help him. Yes, we shall very soon." At the village gate stood a young man with a black suitcase in his left hand, dressed in a black theatrical robe with a big hood and red lining. The young man who passed by the gate guards didn't get along with them. The man, who had just experienced a flashback, grinned as he looked up at the sky. Rewind. While packing his belongings, John said to Naruto, "Well, it seems like your time is up." Naruto turned to face John and said, "Yeah, it'd been only 5 days and it alright, it felt longer than that. Within these 5 days many people now know of your work." Naruto scowled and said, "I'm not sure am I ready. But I really do wish for everyone to learn." John said, "That they do, but not of your work. Where are you from? Are you ready to teach them the lesson of life?" John then gives Naruto a pat on the back and says to youngster, "Give it time. You're ready when you're ready. I believe in you, Naruto. You are the only one who can help them reach that point, to show them their life is more important than throwing it away. Everyone life is important, no matter how evil, how wrong, how blind they can be." "Yeah, I understand, John." Naruto giggles. "I heard a funny story after our little trap with Cecil. I heard that a man died in a trap much like our work. Knows anything about that?" John nodded. No, my traps are simply to give people second chances, not to end their life. The choice is up them. Before you go, Naruto can tell me, where did you hear this from? Naruto picks up the newspaper and throws it to John, who reads the front line, Jigsaw strike again. From the cops. I overheard one of them speaking about that the guy name was Seth, who was killed in a jigsaw-like trap. Naruto grinned as John, who appeared somewhat upset about this, said, Seth was Hoffman's sister boyfriend, but the sicko killed her. Revenge is like a poison, that's what you told me. John placed his hands on Naruto's shoulder and looked directly into the boy's eyes. Remember, Naruto, you're doing this to help them, not for murder, not for some sick pleasure. It must not be for revenge or rule by hate. The heart must be close, and all those who have wronged you or your work your reason for doing this. John laughed a little and said, I hope my art can help you, John. I made them for you just like me. You need to help too, and I hope you and I will meet again someday. Naruto closed his eyes and nodded as he opened them again. I know, John. I have to thank you for helping me open my mind. I was so a few days ago. And now I feel better. John laughed and said, I'm excited for our next meeting. Would you be able to bring some warm flesh green tea from Konoha next time? Naruto laughed alongside John. John gave Naruto 3 gift boxes to give to his friend, saying, Oh Naruto, one more thing before you go. There is a little gift I want you to give to your friends, that girl Sakura and the boy Sasuke, and of course your sensei. The flashback has ended. Ground of training. Since Naruto has been giving letters to each of them while on his trip with John, Kakashi, Sasuke, and Sakura are all waiting for Naruto to arrive. When Naruto eventually made it to the training ground, still wearing the black theatrical robe with the red lining and large hood, each letter was single for them one at a time. To reveal his face, Naruto pulled down his hood. Since he never got a haircut, Naruto's hair grew a little longer. To them, he remained the knucklehead teammate of 7. Naruto called out to them, Hey guys. Good to see you're back. Naruto right on time as well. Kakashi replied, So how was your trip to America? It was great. Naruto grinned more. I learn a lot there. I enjoy every moment. Sakura smiled broadly and said, It's good to have you back, Naruto. So, did you bring anything for us? Sakura, open your around 9 o'clock tonight. Kakashi, open your 10 o'clock tonight, and Sasuke, open yours at 1 o'clock tonight. I have sent these scrolls to a timer so you can't open them until time runs out, Naruto said after nodding his head and taking out 3 scrolls from inside his robe. Sakura frowns and says, I really want to see what you brought me. Naruto grinned and said, Don't worry, you'll love it, Sakura-chan, trust me. He then turned to bid his friends farewell for the time being and went back to his apartment, to rest while he was trolled on his way home. At 9 a.m. for Sakura. Sakura waited on her bed until it was 9 o'clock so she could open Naruto's gift to her. When the allotted time had passed, Sakura hurriedly opened the scroll, which was a tiny box with Naruto's name on the tag. Beside the plush toy that Naruto had given her was a tape. A small Tomberry doll was the present. Play me and you will learn, the tape says. A voice from the tape recorder spoke to Sakura as she played the tape and reached for her plush toy that was lying on the bed. As Sakura got out of bed to examine the tape, John's voice said, Hello Sakura. What is that? Sakura pondered. Sakura remained silent, listening to John's words. I know you are wondering, why is this tape recorder within your box? I wanted to have a moment of your time. Listen if you will, if you wish to have a strong, more peacefully healthy life. For this past week Naruto has helped me in many ways no one could have. With his help I was able to see the error of this world and you people. What I want from you is to listen and learn from your mistakes. Naruto isn't a fool as you think. For years Naruto has tried his best to win your heart, however you always shut him off. Why is that? John responded to Sakura. As Sakura listened to John speak again, she was unable to respond in any way. Don't think Sasuke Uchiha will be the one whom will gild you to the light. Do you believe that he even paid attention to you to being with? Do not believe you are on Team 7 with Naruto. Just because of bad luck, Naruto has told me what happened during your battle in Waves. You did nothing, only stay aside while Naruto fought for his life. Why is it when someone kind-hearted and brave try his best to win the heart of the girl he loved, she turns him away? As John confirms that she did not assist Naruto or Sasuke, Sakura frowns more and more, feeling guilty. And when Naruto was most hurt, she ran to Sasuke as though she didn't exist because she was so overcome with guilt. If you win to live that peacefully life you dream of, Become the friend that Naruto never had become, that special person. Naruto has never told you this, but he loves you, he wishes to only be accepted by you. But if you continue to avoid Naruto, then your life will become nothingness, but a cold empty void of despair. Sakura, listen to me, you are too young to think about love at your age, focus about your future first. Life is like a game, some people make the right or wrong choices. Now Sakura, what paths you shall choose, live or die, make your choice. John only told Sakura that the tape stopped, and it was true that she was too young to risk her life for a single boy. Who doesn't appear to be listening to her? Naruto Uzumaki was one of the boys who did that. As she lay on her bed, Sakura sighs and pulls her Tomberry doll closer to her chest. She then grabs the tape recorder and plays the tape once more. Sakura continued to listen that evening. Later, at 10 o'clock. Hello Kakashi Hatake. Kakashi asked, what is this? As he examined the box Naruto had given him, which contained a tiny keychain featuring a blue dragon and a pair of sunglasses. In contrast to Sakura, Kakashi received a videotape and watched the John video. John was working on a little doll friend named Billy when he spoke with Kakashi Hatake. I wish to play a game with you. The name of the game is Here As I Hear. Okay. John finishes repairing Billy and turns to face the camera. I have spent a week with Naruto, learning from him, listening to all his stories. I wish to know if you think of Naruto as a person or as a demon, as many villagers had called him. From what Naruto has told me, you don't pay attention to him like everyone on the team. You have seen the suffering Naruto has been through, so you should know what is going through his mind, but you too have shut him off. I have read your files, and I know your past, Hatake. What I want from you, Mr. Hatake. I want you to listen to him, I want you to listen to Naruto. It is only right that the teacher will listen to his or her student. There much to Naruto's history then meets the eye, remember this, Mr. Hatake. The student shall surpass the teacher, but without the wisdom of the master, the student will be on the path of injustices. As John turned off the camera, the video went black, leaving Kakashi to wonder what transpired between them and what Naruto had learned from John while he was in America. Even Kakashi is left wondering about his actions during the mission and the preceding mission after hearing John's message. He was constantly concentrating on Sasuke before Naruto. Since Naruto is Kakashi-sensei's son, it would only be just if he received the same treatment as Sasuke. After a few moments of silence, Kakashi sighs and holds the blue dragon keychain in his right hand. Kakashi made the decision to start over for the best. There would be no more games or teasing. He assured himself that Team 7 would become the greatest team Konoha would ever see. With this new team of Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke, all of his loved ones are gone, and a new family may or may not be born. With Sasuke Uchiha, much later. The open box contained a raven toy and a large poster with the words, Strength, Will, and Heart, written in Japanese on it. The broken tape recorder was lying on Sasuke's floor as he lay there doing his best, repeatedly muttering to himself, I can't let it go. Sasuke's eyes went to Sharingan at the sight of Itachi's eyes that bear the look of treachery. I'm sorry, Naruto, but I can't let it, not until I face him again. I can't forgive him for what he did, I can't forget the nightmares that haunt me. Nobody can forget the hurt of being betrayed by someone you love, respect, know, or once called. Big brother. Ring, ring, ring. When Naruto's phone rang that morning, he woke up to discover that it was 7 o'clock and the sun had barely risen. With a yawn, Naruto answered the phone and said, hello. Hi Naruto, good morning. Naruto questioned his teammate, Sakura-chan, what are you doing? It's 7 in the morning. Well, I want to say, I'm sorry for being so mean to you, Naruto. Sorry, I always thought you were a bothersome, but you're really not. I want to thank you for the gift you gave me the other day. Thanks, Sakura-chan. Naruto grinned, genuinely enjoying the fact that he had no idea what had changed her mind. I know it early, but wanna have breakfast at my place. Maybe some other time, Sakura-chan, but I would love to eat with you. Thank you, Naruto. Sakura hung up, leaving Naruto to question why things had changed so quickly, but it didn't matter because Sakura was being kind to Naruto. Then Naruto's face lit up with a smile and he said, thank you, John. After 2 hours, 9 o'clock. Since the first portion of the exam will take place later this afternoon, Naruto was enjoying his breakfast at his favorite ramen restaurant. Naruto and Sakura were eating breakfast together. Sakura was one of his teammates, and Naruto liked this new side of her. She was still somewhat the same, but she was kinder and more like the Sakura Naruto had always wanted to see. Shortly after Naruto finished his third bowl of ramen, Sakura finished her meal. From Naruto's perspective, she was kinder and in some ways better than before. Then he realized that Sakura's long, pink hair had been chopped short when he smiled at her and the young boy said, "You cut your hair, Sakura." Sakura blushed a little and asked, "You'd like my new look?" She was happy that Naruto had noticed her new appearance. "Yeah, what made you cut your hair? You always had it long," replied Naruto. Sakura was quiet for a moment. "Well, since the Chunin exams are coming, it was time for me to change it. Not all fun and game when this exam are like games to test our abilities as ninja, and since I saw you changed as well, I want to be look differently than before." After finishing his meal, Naruto remarked, "That good to hear you're turning a new leaf, Sakura." Sakura paid for the two of them because they still had time before the first exams began. Before Naruto asked Sakura why, Sakura followed him around the village. Sakura bowed down to the ground and said, "Naruto, I want to make it up to you. I was always so mean to you before, and didn't see you're a kind and great guy." Sakura was selfish and unfair to Naruto, and John's words haunted her all night. Sakura looked up at Naruto and said, "I forgive you." Sakura asked, "Why? Why I forgive you so easily?" you asked. "Well, because Sakura, you were my first love. You may have hated me and call me a dumbass most of the time, but that never stopped me from loving you. If you want to truly forgive yourself as well and be reborn with my help, I can help you, Sakura. I truly can." Sakura begs Naruto, "Help me, please." "Very well then, Sakura, help me fix this village. Help me draw out the illness that has haunted our dear beloved village all these years. You may not look like it, but you are a very strong and healthy female." Sakura nodded. "Yes, Naruto, I want help you. I wasn't able to before, but I want to make my life better than it is now." Naruto looked at Sakura with a genuine gentle grin. "Come, Sakura, we have must work to do. I have some thoughts of our perfect test subjects. But first we need some space for us to work in peace, and I believe Sarutobi-san will help us." Sakura said, "Are we dropping out of the Chunin exam?" "No, we are not. We will take the exam and work on our little project as well." "Sakura, tell me, Sakura, do you like to play games?" Sakura replied to Naruto. "Yeah, I do, always have when I was a little girl." Sakura replied. Sarutobi office. Sarutobi asked the two young children, "You want used to rent space for what reason?" While Sarutobi was thinking that Sakura and Naruto were in a serious relationship because they were too young to play house, Naruto said, "I and Sakura want to do a little experiment together, and we need some extra space to work in peace, like a large house or a warehouse if you ever have one. I will give you this extra space to rent, but don't do anything that might backfire, okay?" Naruto. Sarutobi responded as Naruto nodded his head. "Yes, I understand. Beside us only using this space until the Chunin exams are over." Naruto clarified, "A little game me and Sakura are playing, like the betting game." Naruto grabbed the keys to the mansion in the Konoha forest after Sarutobi gave him a long, glaring look before smiling and letting out a sigh. "Very well. I give you the key to this mansion, which has not been used in a long while. It's outside the village, about 10 miles away." After an hour, after seeing the basement, Sakura exclaimed, "Wow, this place is huge. It has 2 basements." As Sakura took the list of things she needed to buy and left the mansion, Naruto explained, "This is where we will work in peace and test our experiments. Sakura, I want to go to the store and buy me these items on the list. Don't worry about the money, you're using my money, and have your shadow clones help out as well. I'm going to be busy drawing out little device to use in the experiment, and I'm going an old friend." Naruto went to the master bedroom, picked up the phone, and called John. To find out how things were going with John and his work over other things, the young student called his master there. "Hello," Naruto said. "Hello John, how are you doing?" "Doing well so far, Naruto. How is thing going your way? Have you started your work?" "Not yet, Sakura. Working me with my work. She's more help than I thought. I must thank you." "No, there no need to thank me. She made her choice. She chosen the path to help those she turned away. She saved herself from her own despair by choosing to help you with your work. I believe she can help. But remember, Naruto, no good heart can go without being tested. You want me to put Sakura in a game then?" "Yes, but a game of face-to-face, whether to see does she have what it takes to survive. I know the perfect game. And that would be loved as I loved. Remember, you are helping her to open her eyes to see the world different." "Yes, I know John the First have a special game in mind for her." "Good luck, Naruto." At Naruto's lair, the mansion. With the gear that Naruto requested, Sakura brought her shadow clones back to the mansion. She attached Naruto's black theatrical robe with the red hood to the wall. Sakura picked up the little note that was on the hood and read it. In order to bring this game to life, I need the life of your most trusted friend. Can you do this, Sakura? Can you bring the one person you cared and respect into this game for your rebirth? Sakura closed her eyes to reflect and said, the only trusted person is Ino. She says that if she really wanted to change for the better, she would have promised Naruto that she would make amends to both him and herself. She must play his game or it will be the end of her life. Sakura picked up the robe and saw that it had 2 items in its pocket. A fox face mask was the first item, and a sleeping-inducing needle was the second. Sakura then recalled John's remarks, which continued to trouble her even after she pledged to assist Naruto in his small game. Live or die, choose your path. What path are you going to take, Sakura? Sakura's childhood best friend, Ino Yamanaka, would be her first target when she lifted the mansion and returned to Konoha. On this night, 2 lives will either change for the better or worse. In Konoha, residents of Yamanaka, after a typical difficult day on a typical D-rank mission, young Ino Yamanaka came downstairs from her bedroom to find a knot on the door. On this gloomy night, Ino asked who was at the door as it was pouring outside. After a brief period of silence, Sakura said, "Hey Ino, it's me, Sakura. Can you let me in? I want to talk with you." Ino glanced through the small opening in the door and saw Sakura in the rain, with the hook covering her face. Fortunately, Ino caught a glimpse of her pink hair and green nail polish as Sakura showed them to Ino. "Oh hey Sakura, what are you doing out here in the rain?" Ino asked as she opened the door. As Ino's body went numb, Sakura launched herself at her and stabbed the needle deep into her left side of the neck. When Ino was last seen, Sakura was wearing the fox face mask and saying, "I'm sorry, Ino, but it has to be done." Returning to the mansion, Sakura removed the robe and shook her head before dropping Ino's body to the ground. However, Sakura was abruptly struck in the head from behind by an unidentified individual who grabbed Sakura's right foot and Ino's left, dragging the 2 women into the mansion. Shortly after, in an unidentified part of the mansion, when Sakura awoke first, she was in a very strange position. She had a large water tank filled with fresh water above her head, and she was wearing a gas mask with a tube hook attached to it. Sakura was completely nude, though, and it didn't end there. Sakura was lying on her stomach with her ass in the air when she turned to look behind her and saw that Ino was also naked on the ground, but when Ino woke up, there was a device attached to her neck like a necklace. She hastily covered herself. She was nude, the floor was cold, and her B-cup breasts' nipples were hard. A voice spoke out of nowhere, and the room echoed with the sound of his voice. "Hello Ino. I wanna play a game. For years you two have been selfishly fighting over the love of your life, Sasuke Uchiha. This rivalry has strongly nearly ended your childhood friendship with one another. Ino, it was you who told Sakura she should feel good about being different, you who gave her strength to be who she is today. But sadly, even since Sakura said she likes Sasuke, what reason did it bring you to feel jealous over this one boy who doesn't know you even exist?" said the voice. Ino inquired, "Who are you and where are you? I recognize that voice. Is it possible?" Sakura pondered. "Today we will see how strong your friendship with Sakura is. Over to your left you can see tools for your choosing. The gas mask that Sakura is wearing is hooked to a machine that will drain the water down to her, drowning her slowly. Unless you are able to make Sakura develop juices and liquids of her own that will fill the small glass bottle below Sakura. They say friendship and love is a powerful thing. Tonight will you show us how much Sakura is important to you? How important is your friendship? Is it greater than your undying love for Sasuke Uchiha? Live or die, make your choice, Ino." The voice stated that the game had already begun as it began to drain the water to Sakura. As Sakura was consuming a small amount of water, Ino called her best friend's name, "Sakura, hold on." Sakura initially drank the water, but no one knew how long that would last. Ino stood up and turned to look at the instruments that would help save Sakura's life. When Ino saw the instruments that would be used to save Sakura's life, her face turned a deep cherry red. Sakura was able to create her own juices to fill the bottle using 5 different tools. The words, "You sick perv, you just want me to fuck her," came out of Ino's venomous voice. Sakura said, "Ino, help," but stopped when the water began to fill her mouth. The first of the 5 tools was a green dildo, the second was a larger thicker blue dildo, and the third was a double red strap-on. The 5th and 4th were vibratos, the fifth was 10 inches, and the fourth was large and black, about 7 inches. Ino sighed, blushing from embarrassment in her soul as well as her heart. What if this was a trap? What if Sakura wasn't drowning at all? What if Ino died from a gas-filled room because she was wearing a gas mask? She has to save Sakura, but she thinks that if Sakura dies, Sasuke will be all to herself. Ino reasoned that Sakura would have Sasuke to herself if she died. No, Ino, stop acting like this. Sakura will always be my friend. I can't let her die like this, Ino thought to herself as she reached for the 7-inch vibratos and the strap-on. She was my first friend. Ino put the strap-on on herself and quickly let out a moan as she inserted the long, tick-like dildo into her virgin pussy. Then an unidentified individual spoke. I forgot to inform you, Ino, that the necklace around your neck is a collar. It will get tighter and tighter, so tight it will cut off your air, casing you to coke to death. Sakura's life isn't the only that will end tonight if you don't hurry. Sakura had a very nice ass, so Ino grabbed it and felt her best friend's butt because she knew she had to save both Sakura and herself. Sakura gasped as Ino pushed the dildo into her virgin pussy. Sakura allowed her pussy to tighten around Ino's dildo cock as she gradually felt her best friend thrust the dildo inside her. Ino's dildo cock was dripping Sakura's pussy juice, which was then dripping into the bottle that was ready to be filled. Ino exclaimed, "Oh, this feels so good," as her own juice began to drip down to the bottle, leaving her dripping wet. Sakura's situation worsened when the water tank above her began to fill the rube that hooked to her gas mask, but she was unable to finish it because the bottle was only halfway full. And as Ino sensed that she was going to be coked by a man's powerful hands, the necklace around her neck began to tighten. Sakura screams in agony and pleasure as Ino inserts the 7-inch vibrator into her asshole, causing her eyes to widen in both pain and pleasure. Although Sakura's A-cup breasts were small, Ino managed to grab hold of them. Sakura gets even more aroused from being fucked by her best friend when she feels Ino rub her fingers around her nipples and pinch them. All of this pleasure was too much for the young girl Sakura, who was about to come and would need to come badly. Additionally, Ino was young and on the verge of coming. Ino exclaimed with delight, "I can't hold it anymore, Sakura, I'm gonna come." As she did, Sakura and she arrived simultaneously, filling the bottle halfway with their pussy juice of cum before simply filling it up. When that glass bottle was filled with cum, the necklace around Ino's neck unhooked and dropped to the floor, and the tube that hooks the gas mask unhooked itself. Sakura was free from the machine and her body was lowered to the ground when Ino fell on her best friend. The two cuddled after making love to demonstrate how important their friendship was before their altercation over Sasuke Uchiha. Ino's neck had a line scar around it. Before Ino fell asleep after fucking Sakura, Sakura was sleeping soundly. She noticed a man approaching the two women. The unidentified male was saying to her, "You are alive. How does it feel to know you are alive? Some people don't appreciate life, but Ino, you have shown me that the lives of other you cherish is more important." "Who are you?" Ino asked, barely able to keep her eyes open. As Ino blacked out, Naruto's voice said, "Ino and Sakura have won. Their rebirths shall not be the first I will see. I am the one who gave you your new life. Sakura has been reborn and so have you." An elderly man's voice said, "Yes. I know, Naruto, how it feels to know you have the ability to change the lives of these young women." Naruto laughs and smiles kindly, saying, "It feels good, very good. My heart and soul feels better than ever. Good, Naruto, you must remember this and those who will carry on your legacy. You were not a murderer. The choice was theirs to make. Sakura has proven herself to carry on your work as well as Ino, but unlike me, you are young, Naruto. So when my time comes, it will be you that will know the true appreciates of life that my work shall given birth to. You are the son that I never had. I hope my lesson and my words will help you on your quest to make your world a better place. Goodbye, Naruto." As Ino and Sakura were lying on the master bed in the master bedroom, Naruto hung up the phone and said, "Goodbye, John, may we meet again." Now that he knows John will always be by his side, Naruto smiles and says, "Let the games begin." The real test will start in the year of the Chunin exams, which will help Naruto realize the true value of life. His work in Konoha has only just begun. Once you see up death close, then you will know the value of life is. After taking her test, Ino Yamanaka awoke from her sleep. Ino felt the scar from that necklace from that trap around her neck when she woke up, naked and alone under the covers. Recall the things she had to do to survive, which demonstrated to both herself and the man who put her to the test how important her friendship with Sakura was to her. On the ground close to the bed, Ino discovered her dressed in a little note. Today your new life begins. The note left Ino scowling, wondering where Sakura had gone. And was she okay? Ino was completely perplexed and had no idea what was happening until the master bedroom door opened and a person in a hooded robe entered. Ino said, Who are you? When Sakura entered the bedroom, the person took off their hood. Sakura inquired, How are you feeling, Ino? To her best friend. At that point, all she could say was, confuse. I don't know what's going on here. Sakura could see that Ino's eyes were filled with confusion and fear. Right now all you need to focus on is your new life. You have been reborn, Ino, can't you feel it? She asked. Sakura knew who she was referring to, the person who set the trap, when she asked, where is he? Sakura was surprised to hear Ino say, Sakura, your friendship I forgot how special is and it almost came to an end because of my mission to make Sasuke mine. Sakura responded, he's away on other business. Ino then added, I wanted to thank him. I'm glad you understand, Sakura said with a smile, because he opened my eyes with his words and wisdom. If it weren't for him, I would still be calling Naruto names and being a mindless fangirl. Ino briefly perspired at the thought and shook her head twice. Ino buried her face in her hands and said, I don't know why I had that hatred because you liked Sasuke, I don't know why I feel so jealous. Sakura couldn't help but feel Ino's jealousy as they both harbored feelings for a boy they didn't even know existed. She gave her best friend a warm smile of hope and said, Come on Ino, let's take you home. Ino nodded her head as the two friends left the mansion and went back to their hometown because, in Konoha's hospital, it was still early, around 4 in the morning, when Ino woke up. Naruto was looking through Konoha Residence's files in the data storage room. Naruto recalled John's statement, revenge is never the answer, when he discovered a certain name among Konoha's good residents who looked after the city's children. Naruto removed that one file and proceeded to look through the remaining files, reading nearly every single Konoha resident's name. But putting him to the test to see those will live and those who should live. Then Naruto discovered his files containing all of Konoha's knowledge about him, but it was odd that there were only files about him. Date of birth, blood type, age, height, weight, eye and hair color, team he was on, and ninja rank. But when Naruto read about his family, he felt that much more was missing. His mother and father were not mentioned, and their names did not appear. The only family that was mentioned was the damn orphan who was supposed to raise him. Naruto feels a tinge of rage, but he calms down and puts his desire for vengeance aside. There are currently only 3 files, 2 of Naruto's personal files and the files of these specific men from his past. After leaving the hospital early in the morning, Naruto traveled to Konoha and went back to his apartment to rest because he had a busy afternoon and night ahead of him. Later in the afternoon, Ino was assisting her father in running the Yamanaka flower shop, the family business. The guilt that nearly ended Ino's friendship with her childhood friend Sakura was still present when she was tried. Ino made the decision to give up on Sasuke Uchiha. A fresh start for Ino, the scar around her neck served as a reminder of her lust and avarice for a boy over whom she and Sakura had once quarreled. Inoichi asked his cherished daughter Ino, Ino honey, I'm taking a break. Would you mind taking care of things while I'm away? Inoichi walked out of the store with his daughter in his arms and said, Yeah sure thing dad, just don't be gone for too long. Even though Naruto Uzumaki had visited her family's store before, it was still unexpected for the young boy to stop by and say hello. Naruto glanced at Ino and then at a pair of yellow flowers before asking, Naruto, what are you doing here? At last, Naruto said, How are you feeling Ino? Ino gazed at the boy and said, I'm fine. Why do you ask Naruto? Have you learned your lesson Ino? To find your friendship is more important than winning the love of a boy who doesn't even know you existed. Naruto asked, approaching her and examining the scar on her neck. Ino's eyes widened in surprise, and she gasped. She quickly covered her mouth as her eyes changed from anger to sorrow and guilt before turning back to Naruto and saying, I have. Good, he replied. Now Ino listen to me, I don't want you to grow a life of hatred, lust or sorrow. You're a beautiful young girl as just as I am a young man. We can't throw our lives over the people we loved. We are young, we are still children. Ino, only you and Sakura knows what I did to you is for your own good. I want all of Konoha to feel their lives should not be taken so lightly. Will you help me Ino? Will you help me and Sakura to make our village a better place to live, for our children to live a healthy, better life? Ino saw hope in her future in Naruto's eyes. She envisioned a bright future and wished for it. With a slow nod, Ino said, Come to my apartment around 6. Naruto left the store, but not before Ino said, "Thank you." Naruto smiled, knowing that his plan had succeeded and that Ino had changed. At Naruto's apartment later that afternoon. When Ino first arrived at Naruto's apartment, a brief note on his bed read it. Head towards the home, children are born without family. Ino was aware of Naruto's desired destination. Naruto and the majority of other children born without family resided in the old, deserted orphanage. John made Naruto his favorite theatrical robe, which he left behind. After donning Naruto's theatrical robe, Ino went to the abandoned orphanage. She didn't know where it was, so she asked a few people before a nice old woman pointed it out to her. The former orphanage. As Ino entered the spacious orphanage and made her way upstairs via the ancient staircases, she noticed Sakura and Naruto observing from below two males who were unconscious until Ino arrived. Just in time, Sakura remarked, "What's going on?" Ino inquired. "Your first lesson now. You two watched how this game shall play." Naruto replied. Two men were present in the old children's play area below one level. One of them was Dr. Tu from Konoha Hospital, who provided the children's medical care. The other man was Din, who had owned the orphanage when Naruto was 7 years old. Both Din and Tu were scars from Naruto's early years. In addition to hurting him because he was unique, they had also harmed other people. After they woke up, the two men discovered that they were chained together by steel chains, with Din's left leg and Tu's right leg chained together. Tu inquired, "Where are we?" Din said, "The hell should I know too?" From above, Naruto clears his throat and mimics John's voice, but he does so in a demonic manner to mask John's voice. "Hello Tu and Din, I wanna play a game. Today is your moment of truth. For years you both have formed a partnership together, ruining the lives of young orphans. Keeping them sick and dirty, unwanted to be adopted by kind lovable people who would wilily care raise them as their own. Dr. Tu, you lie your way to the Hokage, filling him with your lies, the very lies that will haunt your soul forever. You destroyed the life of a young kind child by the name of Sue, when Sue was finally able to be adopted. Your health care issues her ultimate fate to die a day later after being adopted by a kind-hearted family." Chu reminds Silence that his only concern was the money he was making with the people he believed were worthy of receiving assistance, not the orphans. Not kids in Din's care who were on death row. And you, Din, you were the ones reasonable for Sue's death. You didn't help her nor the other children by casing the suffering of young pure-hearted children. Beating them to death for not listening to your orders to feed off rats for food, preying on Sue and the rest of the girls while helpless they were. Today is the day for your ultimate judgment. The chains around your legs are the bond that tie you together. There is but one key that will help you escape the chains that tie your fates. You have 60 seconds before the chains of your fate drag you down to the abyss of your own hell. The key of your freedom lies within the heart of the dead child you murder. Live or die, make your choice. In the heart of the dead child, what hell that supposed to mean? Who the hell are you and how did you found out about this? Din barked. Din is to blame. Shut up, asshole, this is your fault. My fault, you're the one who didn't give those kids the stuff they need to live through the winter. Din shouted. Chu punched Din in the face, but Din quickly recovered and pulled the chain from his leg, causing Chu to fall as he wrapped the long steel chain around Chu's neck, choking the child rapist. At least I wasn't raping little girl like a fucking pig from a farm. With just 20 seconds remaining, Din let go of Chu, and as Chu bit her right hand, Din noticed a small brown toy bear with a red heart symbol sitting in a chair with Sue's name written on it in the room's corner. When they realized this, it was too late, and they fought each other until the timer reached 0. At that point, a loud noise was heard coming from the floor as something was unhooked. The entire space was a death trap, with the floor opening up like a large mouth and a pit of spikes below that allowed the two men to fall to their deaths. Sakura and Ino both turned away, but Naruto watched as a changed man rather than out of retaliation or sick pleasure. Jigsaw, a man who was adopted by John, was the target of Naruto's first trap. It was successful, but the two men failed to learn their lesson. By obtaining the toy bear, they could have easily gotten away, but Naruto knew that one would point the finger at the other and prevent them from achieving their objectives. He asked his two pupils, "Now Ino, Sakura, have you two lived the lesson today? Friendship and the power of teamwork works better than one." And they were beyond being reborn. They stated, "Sometime you can't save them, they just have to save themselves. Come, let's go, tomorrow is a new day." He continued, "What if during the Chunin exam we find those who are in need of our help?" Ino inquired. "Then they will have to play our game. The greatest gift that has ever been given is life, so why would anyone want to take it away from us? Why would anyone want to take another person's life? One soul is worth 1,000 generations of lives, and every life has value. Retaliation never fixes the heart, and murder is never the solution. Can you begin to heal by genuinely forgiving? Is it possible to forgive someone who has caused you so much suffering? 3 days have passed since Tu and Din's bodies were discovered, and no one has yet to identify the perpetrator. Sakura, Ino, and Naruto were the only ones who knew who did it and why, but they kept it to themselves. The Mansion, Help Them, is playing in the background of the Saw 4 soundtrack. While working on a new project by himself in the mansion, Naruto learned a lot from John. He would be the man who does a great job of assisting the villagers in making their streets safer for the kids. Children who aspire to become ninjas will mature considerably more quickly because even the ninja world isn't a joyful or enjoyable place. Naruto, who was a child himself, was an adult on the inside as Konoha ninjas. As they say, student like master, but Naruto was put to the test a long time ago, just like John. Whether they are friends or foes, he always values and respects the lives of those who are important to him. Naruto understood that every life is valuable. Naruto had the girl of his dreams, his lover, on his side. Despite testing Sakura and his best friend Ino, Naruto wanted to see what they discovered in the hopes that his experiments would be beneficial. Naruto wished to preserve the good nature of these girls. The Help Them theme ends. Naruto, lonely and bored, decided to do something to pass the time. After lifting the mansion, Naruto returned to his Konoha apartment. Naruto then proceeded to Konoha, an art store. Hello there, Ems, Naruto asked the woman behind the counter politely, do you have some fresh painting? She bowed her head and went to the back, where Naruto waited until he heard someone shouting and then a loud slap. When the store owner emerged, Naruto was shocked to see that her right cheek had been slapped. From Naruto's perspective, the woman in front of him was incredibly kind and attractive, and he could read her with ease. Why does she have a slap mark on her face? Did she get attacked? She is a 20-something woman with brown hair and green eyes who was shy but kind. As he said, thanks, Naruto contemplated waiting for the woman to reveal her name. As she handed Naruto brand new paint bags, she said, Sarah. You have a beautiful name. Naruto gave Sarah the money for the 5 bags of paint, and she grinned and said, thank you. When Naruto noticed her kindness, he reciprocated by giving her an extra 5, keep it. He winked at her. Sarah grinned and walked to the back of the counter, saying, thank you. As Naruto returns to the mansion, he uses his shadow clone to hide on the store's rooftop and observe what's happening. Clone Naruto leaps as stealthily as he can in the rear of the shop. Through an open window, Clone Naruto observed that Sarah was the only woman of her age without a good father. 25 Ryo. The paint cost 30, you dumb bitch, just like your mother, said Sarah's father after he took the money Naruto had given her. I'm sorry, father. Sarah lacked the courage and determination to contradict her father. Sarah fell to her knees and began to cry as her father said, I'm going out to get me something to drink. When I come back you better have made some big money. When this information returned to the real Naruto, Clone Naruto shook his head and dismissed his sympathy for Sarah in smoke. To his surprise, Sakura was waiting for him when the real Naruto returned to the mansion. Sakura, what's going on? He inquired. Her expression was frowning as she said, Naruto, I want to talk. As he and Sakura entered the basement, where Naruto's workstation was located, Naruto nodded his head. Sakura's workstation was adjacent to Naruto's. After preparing her workstation, he sat down with her in a small section of it so they could converse. He asked his girlfriend, what's the matter, Sakura? Sakura's eyes were worried. Naruto, I'm afraid what we're doing is wrong. I don't think I have what it. Sakura started, but Naruto interrupted her by putting his hands on her cheeks. Sakura, I don't want to hear those words coming from you. You're a strong girl and I need both you and Ino. You understand what I am doing is to help people. I helped you, now it is your turn to help me. Sakura knew Naruto loved her and wanted her to support him, and she could see in his eyes that he thought he was acting morally. Sakura made a self-promise to give Naruto everything he wanted in order to mend their damaged relationship. Yes, Naruto, she said, and Naruto gave her a passionate kiss in return. After 4 seconds, he ended the kiss and said, Sakura, tonight I believe it is time for me to show how I work. Sakura initially looked perplexed and asked, but didn't show me and Ino that last time? As Sakura asked, I won't be tested again, Naruto replied, No, that one wasn't one of my original works. I borrowed that idea and twisted it into my own. Now I will show you a work of my own creation. He turned to face her and said, I mean what I'm trying to say, Naruto, as I'm watching am I? Yes, you will be watching Sakura. Tonight, I will show you how my work works, Naruto said with a smile to his girlfriend. We are not killers, Sakura, we are just trying to help everyone, that's all. There are some that cannot be changed and some that cannot be saved. They have to save themselves, remember this, Sakura. Sakura nods her head and says, everyone deserve a chance. Good, evil, none, everyone deserve a chance. Every life is worth it, a single life is worth as thousands or even more. Naruto is a new person who is merely attempting to assist everyone as much as possible. Sakura thought, he loves me, he wants to be respected by everyone. She grinned at her boyfriend, Naruto-kun. This caught his attention. She said, who are we helping tonight? When Naruto told Sakura, I met a girl today, sweet nice girl, her name is Sarah. But today I saw the poor girl, she being mistreated by her father. Sakura responded, I know. Everyone knows. Then why doesn't someone do something about it? How long has this been going on? Naruto asked after Sakura replied, about 3 years. My mother told me this. Sarah's father used to be a sweet man, but Sarah lost her mother. Her mother was very sick and died while her father and her mother were making love. It destroyed his mind and as well as his soul. Naruto jerked his head back slightly and said, ouch. Yes, ever since then Sarah's father has become a very nasty father to her. I don't see any light within him anymore. But if we help him, I believe that would be a big thank you from Sarah. Sakura told Naruto, and the young Uzumaki replied, what if we can't? She informed him, we can't save everyone. Sakura nods her head and says, but that doesn't mean we can't try. Since you know the two better than I, tell me, do you know what Sarah's father do around late nights? Naruto inquired about Sakura, and the girl with pink hair her. He goes to bars drinking until the bars close down. He come home drunk, fell asleep. Next day he wake up angry and take it out on Sarah. Naruto said, Sakura, I think this might be your game tonight. Sakura initially scowled but then nodded, my test. Your test. Konoha Bar. The bar's owner announced, hey buddy, we're closing. On the night of Konoha, when the shops were closing and everyone was heading home, Sarah's father Larry waved his right hand drunkenly at them before leaving the bar. Larry stumbled and fell to the ground while walking home intoxicated, murmuring to himself. Although it wasn't a wise decision to make at night, Larry used the alley as a shortcut to get home. The sound of footsteps could be heard when the noise came from behind him. When Larry turned around, he saw that no one was there. Feeling drowsy and inebriated, he continued to walk home until he heard footsteps once more. When Larry glanced back, he saw a small person leap at him and stab him in the neck with a needle before everything went dark. Inside a historic structure, the sound of metal woke Larry. When Larry opens his eyes, he notices that his arms are strapped to a machine to keep them straight. Larry felt something poke his back and tried to move his arms, but the machine pulled them back. Ah, he said. A little puppet was in front of him. The puppet had a strange appearance. He had black and red eyes and was dressed in a tiny puppet suit. It gave Larry the creeps to see the puppet staring at him. Larry said, hello, to see if anyone was there. The puppet said to Larry, hello, Larry. What the hell? Responded Larry. Hello Larry, I want to play a game. The hell, the puppet just talked. Your life was almost perfect, you have a lovely daughter and a good life. However, that ended when your wife died, didn't it? You decide to take out your pain, your anger out on your own flesh and blood, your daughter Sarah. Larry screamed. What the hell is going on? Do you know what you done to your daughter? How sad you made her, how much pain you cause her. No you do not, you only care about yourself. Still 3 years ago it was the night your wife died. Do you believe you are the only one in pain? You don't know what I lost. I lost my wife, my only joy in my life. Larry screamed. But what of Sarah? She's lost her mother, your wife. Do you believe she didn't suffer as well? Now not drunk while you were, I clean your body, you are no longer drunk. You cause pain to your daughter, she is joy as well. Or did not love your daughter like you did your wife, she is not family as well. Sarah, oh God, I'm so stupid, God forgive me. I am not sure even he will forgive you, Larry. Tonight we will see, do you truly deserve a second chance to become the father your daughter once knew? Or will you die as a failure of a father? The device hooked to your arms is chained to a pair of knives to your back. The more you pull your arms together, the deeper the knives will stink. I call this the backstabber, one of my favorites, ha 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 ha. Larry listens to the puppet and says, damn. You can sit there and bleed out if you want, but if you do not break free from the trap within 1 hour, your arms will be ripped off. Live or die, Larry, make your choice. The puppet laughed in an extremely eerie manner. Larry tried to move his arms together while closing his eyes and screaming in agony, but the pain from the knives piercing his back was too great. While Larry was attempting to get out of his trap, he was just a regular guy and not a ninja. Someone was keeping an eye on the tiny hole there. Sakura was watching through the peek hole, so Naruto asked, "Are you watching, Sakura? This is your test, your trap. If he has learned his lesson, he will live. And you will understand the true value of life." Naruto stated to her, "Remember, the heart must not be invalid, no feelings, nothing." Sakura wiped away a tear that had fallen down her cheeks and continued to watch. Regarding Larry's blood dripping from his mouth, he had been being tried for more than 30 minutes. He knew he was done and couldn't stand it any longer. He blamed himself for Sarah's suffering because he knew he was a bad father. He wanted to give his daughter the happiest life possible, and he wishes he could make it up to her. He knew she still cared about her father's welfare, even if it meant dying. Larry tried again and grinned, because he knew that his death would only cause her more pain. The sound of Larry's arms chain being unlocked was click, 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 click. Larry lost a lot of blood, but he was free and won his game. Larry coughed up blood and fell hard to the ground, his vision becoming blurry. A female voice asked, "You did, Larry, you won. Now do you truly alive again?" As the hooded figure approached Larry. 10 minutes later, elsewhere. He should be home by now, but he's late. Where is father? Sarah peered out to see her father looking terrible. He had been stabbed numerous times, and his back was covered in blood. Larry, however, was fighting it. He said, "I'm sorry, Sarah. Would you forgive me?" while glancing at his daughter. As a group of medic ninja arrived, Sarah embraced her father and said, "Daddy, I'm so glad you're back." She was crying as she said, "I forgive you, Daddy, I forgive you." The medic ninja questioned, "Miss, what is the issue? Call for a medic, please." "Oh God, what happened to him? My father, someone attacked him." "And what do you mean by I call for a medic?" Sarah inquired. "Never mind, we need to treat this man's wounds right away." Sakura watched with a smile on her face as Sarah's father was taken to the hospital. Because Larry had a life worth living, I can now comprehend how Naruto-kun worked. We assist him in returning to his true self. Sakura was relieved that Sarah's father had returned and had assisted Larry. I hope Ino's test will be successful as mine was. Naruto's workspace. Naruto's hiding place. Naruto pauses his tapping voice and looks at his drawing work for a moment before saying, "Hello, I want to play a game." The rules are simple. You are strapped to a chair. Above you is a bucket of acid. No, this won't work. Death from Above is the name he gave to the straightforward and unique trap. The trap itself consisted of 2 actions. One person strapped the victim to the chair with a bucket of acid above their head in an attempt to save them. The bucket will fall and cover the person in acid if they fail. However, while Naruto was working, he encountered a small issue with this trap. Due to the arrival of other genins from other nations, he granted the girls a day off from work. Naruto was forced to take a break from his job and stay in his mansion located far from Konoha. While Naruto's own puppet, Billy, was there, staring at its creator, Naruto tapped his pencil on the table and asked himself, "Come on, Naruto, surely you can think of a wonder trap that is fair and well thought out. What would John do if he was here?" "Got any ideas, Billy?" Naruto asked, staring at Billy. "No, you too, huh?" Naruto sighed and rubbed his eyes. "I guess I'll put this work on hold. For now, I better go and see how everyone." Naruto stood up from his chair and reached for his usual orange jacket, but he stopped as he turned to face Billy. "I'll let Sakura do that one. So far she has come very well with her traps. I still need to see Ino's traps." Konoha. The front gates. When Naruto returned to Konoha and approached the front gates, Sakura, his girlfriend, welcomed him. "Sakura, you were waiting for me the whole time?" he asked, surprised that someone had been waiting for him. Sakura handed a red pass to Naruto, who asked his girlfriend, "What's this?" "Well, you don't have a phone on you all the time. Naruto and also Kakashi-sensei sent me so I can give you this." Sakura initially gave Naruto a dumb look. "It's the pass you need if you want to enter the Chunin exams." It's July. Naruto. Today newly arrived ninjas from different countries are here to take the exams with us as well. The boy slapped Naruto's forehead and said, "Oh yeah, I almost forgot." Sakura kissed him on the forehead and said, "Just promise no traps on anyone during the exams please Naruto." Sakura grinned at her boyfriend as the young boy responded, "I'll work but no traps I promise Sakura-chan. Beside I want to meet the different ninjas that are coming here. I bet it will be a thrill." In any case, Sakura told Naruto that their teammate Sasuke Uchiha was training at the training grounds, so the young couple went into the village together to meet him. However, Konohamaru and his friends were encountered by Naruto and Sakura. The young ninja in training grinned at the sight of Naruto and Sakura holding hands, but Konohamaru was happy to see Naruto. "Boss, who is this?" he asked, glancing at Sakura. The young ninja in training was asked, "Konohamaru, this is Sakura, she's my teammate." Naruto responded to the question with ease, laughing with pleasure. "Then why are you two holding hand? Is she your girlfriend?" Naruto asked. Sakura blushed red as Naruto kissed her on the right side of her cheek, saying, "In fact Sakura-chan is my girlfriend." Konohamaru laughed and grinned, saying, oh boss, you are a smooth devil." Naruto scratched the back of his head and blushed, saying, "Oh stop it Konohamaru. Say I'll teach you some new tricks I pick up." Sakura hoped Naruto was referring to his new job as a ninja and not as a helper, but he nodded his head and said, "Sure thing boss, I'll be happy to see your new tricks." Naruto patted Konohamaru on the head and said, "You're my student, as teacher is my duty to teach you." Konohamaru grinned broadly at the couple and said, "Well, I better get going. Sakura-chan and I are going to see where the Chunin exams are being held. So I'll see you around, okay Konohamaru." Konohamaru and his friends were strolling together shortly after Naruto and Sakura departed, but as they did so, they wondered what new jutsu Naruto would teach them. However, Konohamaru unintentionally stepped on someone's foot. The young man, dressed entirely in black, exclaimed, "Ouch! Why you little brat," while sporting purple face paint. The young man grabbed Konohamaru by the neck of his shirt and said, "You little brat." Konohamaru was terrified because he knew he would be beaten. The young ninja in training yelled, "Naruto, help," as the only thing Konohamaru could do. Fortunately for Konohamaru, Sakura and Naruto were not far away. Sakura followed Naruto as he ran where Konohamaru was. The young girl with the 4 ponytails and blonde hair, dressed in light purple with the Suna headband around her neck, said, "Kankuro, let the kid go, he didn't mean to step on your foot." The young girl is carrying an enormous fan. With Konohamaru's destiny in his hands, Kankuro grinned and said, "This little brat is going to pay Tamari. I won't hurt this little brat much." However, Naruto's voice could be heard saying, "Hey, let my friend alone." Tamari told her younger brother, "See, told you, now you're got trouble behind you." Kankuro released Konohamaru and said, "Is that little brat you friend, huh? Well, your little friend step on my left foot." Konohamaru went behind Naruto and peered over to stick his tongue out at Kankuro in an attempt to enrage him even more. Naruto checked Kankuro's behavior, and Konohamaru noticed a sudden change in Naruto's demeanor. "Is there a problem?" Naruto asked calmly. "My little friend didn't mean to step on your left foot. He didn't see you, or the fact you didn't see him as he is smaller than you. Have you ever thought of that?" Naruto asked Kankuro. "Did he say he was sorry?" The Suna ninja replied, "I didn't hear the brat say anything." Naruto turned to Konohamaru and said, "Konohamaru, you know what to do when you didn't mean to hurt someone." After looking at the ground, Konohamaru turned to face Kankuro and said, "I'm sorry." As Tamari responded to Naruto's question, Naruto grinned at his young pupil and said, "Good, see no harm has come to anyone. I take it you're here for the Chunin exams." Tamari apologized for her brother's actions, saying, "Yes, we are. I'm Tamari. I'm sorry about my little brother." Naruto appreciated that Tamari was the older sister and knew what she was doing. "I see you cherish life very well, keep it up," Naruto said with a smile. After saying that, Naruto and Sakura were about to leave the area when a young voice spoke, drawing everyone's attention to a tree that had a young boy with short red hair and a tattoo that represented love hanging from it. Based on the headband he wore around his side belt, the boy was in fact a Suna ninja. As soon as Kankuro and Tamari saw the boy, they became terrified. This caught Naruto's attention and made him wonder, "Oh Gaara, how long were you there?" Kankuro asked in a terrified tone, clearly afraid of this boy. The boy's name was Gaara, and he teleported down where everyone else was. "Shut up Kankuro, you're an embarrassment to our village. Gaara interrupted Kankuro as he was explaining the entire situation, saying, I'm sorry that little brat stepped on my foot and. Gaara's icy gaze dragged at his older brother, Tamari, who appeared concerned that she didn't want them to fight, particularly in the secret village of Leaf, said, shut up or I'll kill you myself. However, Gaara turned her head away from Kankuro and said to Tamari and Kankuro, let's go. The boy with the red hair left. After hearing Gaara's words and witnessing her younger brother leave, Tamari felt at ease. No blood was spilled. Hey you, Naruto shouted as Tamari turned around. Are you talking to me? Tamari asked, and the boy shook his head. No, you with the red head. He caught Gaara's attention as the red-haired ninja turned to face Naruto. What is it? He asked. You sure treat your teammate kinder. Everyone should work together as a family, that's what teamwork is all about, Naruto said to the boy with red hair. I don't care about my big sister or my big brother, the only reason I hadn't killed Kankuro is we need him for this stupid exams. What is your name? Gaara's expression turned venomous. Naruto addressed the Suna ninja by saying, Naruto Uzumaki. Kankuro followed the red-haired boy as he walked away, and Gaara closed his eyes and said, Naruto Uzumaki huh. I will remember your name until I destroy you. Do you cherish him? Naruto asked Tamari. Tamari looks sad in her eyes. I do, but I don't know he feels the same with me and Kankuro. He's my baby brother, it's not his fault for being this way, I've said too much, see you around Leaf Ninjas. Sakura could only scowl as Tamari left, saying, I feel sorry for her. Naruto agreed with Sakura's statement, but for the time being he preferred to learn more about the three before acting. Naruto and Sakura set out to locate Sasuke Uchiha at the training grounds after the young couple, Konohamaru, and his friends departed the area. Not every family consists of a mother, father, brother, or sister. A family is a group of people you know, love, respect, and will stop at nothing to keep them safe. Yes, blood is thicker than water, but how far will you go to keep the people you care about safe? After Sasuke received his pass to take the Chunin exams, Uchiha joined the group and they became Team 7. The test would start at the Ninja Academy tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Naruto's mansion. Basement at 9 o'clock in the evening. My Method Savi soundtrack, Naruto's theme 1. About 10 Naruto clones were pushing 2 large glass charca clubs around while Naruto was moving equipment. Naruto encountered a new trap while the real Naruto and 3 clones were setting up a big tube. He promised Sakura that no one would be tested, but all he was doing was setting a trap. While the clones were working, the real Naruto told them, alright boys, move the bag of dirt to the left box above it. And move the barrier of water to the right box. One of the clones asked the real Naruto, boss, what is this trap is about? The real Naruto whispered to his clone about the trap, leaving the clone perplexed. You sure? What if he changes? The clone asked. Naruto grinned and said, I call it blood judge. I have a feeling this exams will give me the chance to change the lives of many, but I have to be careful right now, the old man hasn't caught on me. Naruto sighed, adding, if he does, but if he doesn't, this trap will change his life, hopefully. The clones returned to work on the secret trap Naruto had been working on all night. All I need is the person, who will be given the choice to decide who should live and who should not live, who he favors the most. With his eyes closed, Naruto reflected on the week he spent with John and how it changed his life. He also recalled the day that had a significant impact on his life. Rewind. John's hiding place. John, do you really believe I can change the lives of the people of my village? Naruto asks, doubting his ability to influence others. John was working on Billy the puppet, applying paint markings to give him the final touch, while Naruto sat on his bed. I believe you can. People can change and some people can change by themselves. But there are those who don't want to change, those who are unable to change. John said, turning to Naruto as he paused his work on Billy, but believe in yourself, Naruto, your work will save lives. When John said that he was happy that he had faith in him, Naruto grinned. When Naruto turned to face Billy the puppet, he said, Billy's almost done. John grinned at his work, confirming that Billy was indeed nearly finished. John decided it was time to immerse Naruto in his world. Naruto, please tell me about your life in Konoha. Starting with your teammates, you spoke of how they misjudge you. Naruto started off with a sad expression in his eyes and scowled, saying, I've been misjudged a lot. As a child I had no friends, I never knew why I was never adopted into a family. I have always been on my own long as I can remember. I don't know anything about my family. John listened to Naruto's words, taking in every word. Sometimes I wish I knew what my family was like if they loved me at all. But as time went on I grew up raising myself. To become number one to hope I could be known and respected by everyone. I know it seemed like a selfish goal, I had nothing to lose or gain. John asked Naruto, have you ever thought of your family were killed and have never wanted to leave you? The boy said, I know what it's like losing a loved one. It's a powerless thing, but listen to me, Naruto. Don't you think you are alone in this world? There's hundreds, possibly thousands of children like you born without a family. But I hope you will gain a new family. John's words touched Naruto's lonely heart, making him feel as though he had found a father figure in John. John asked Naruto, people make choices all the time. Some make the right choice, others make the wrong choice. What choice will you make? The Uzumaki was unaware of the decision he would make. I don't know. In time you will make your choice, the right choice. The flashback has ended. Naruto grinned, believing that his work would improve everyone's lives and ensure that no one would be afraid. But my work is not done yet. Oh no, this is the beginning of my work. Konoha will know my work, my art, my lesson, my way of life. Yes, there will be blood. John was using a very equal trap, one of his most recent creations. John had modeled it in miniature. It has to do with two people being trapped together in a restroom. Since John had grown quite fond of Naruto, Naruto was asleep at 3 in the morning. The boy needed someone to guide him and hold his hand. He was a good kid at heart. However, John grinned at the child who was sleeping and told Naruto, your work shall be known. John coughed roughly 3 times, and it was a bad cough. Although he had made the most of it, he felt that his time was running out. John hoped Naruto's work would be very successful because he knew this boy would be a great help to him in the future. From the right side of his desk, John retrieved a tape recorder. After considering what Naruto had told him about his life, he made the decision to send a message to Sasuke on behalf of Naruto's friends. Hello Sasuke. The flashback has ended. It was Thursday when John awoke from his sleep. He had been gone for 4 or 5 days to return to his native country. John's eyes were tired, but he didn't have time to get the full 8 hours of sleep he needed at the moment. 6 hours was sufficient. John enters the area where he stored parts of his traps in the second half of his hideout warehouse. When John looked around for a special trap piece, he noticed that it was gone when he looked up. John was momentarily confused by this before reflecting. Rewind. John, what are you working on? Naruto asked politely as the boy, holding a double-barrel shotgun, assisted John in arranging everything precisely. John turned to face Naruto and said, an early idea. The boy approached John as he was sketching an early version of the trap, and Naruto glanced over to see what John was working on. The trap had a peculiar appearance. A person was chained by their feet in the trap, and they had to find the key to escape. The sole of their foot conceals the key. The person needs to slit their foot with a knife in order to be free, but they don't. Their legs will be torn off by the chain on their foot. The boy was intrigued by this trap, so Naruto asked, what do you call this one, John? I don't have a name for this. It's one of my earlier models, John said bluntly to Naruto. Naruto found this trap to be very creative, and he asked himself, mind if I use this? I mean, it's one of your early work, right? Naruto, may I ask you a question? John asked, thinking it would be okay to let the boy use this trap for his own purposes. Naruto grinned at John and said, sure, what is it, John? He would answer any question John asked him without hesitation. Naruto is only momentarily disturbed by John's question, have you ever tested yourself? I don't believe I have, the boy replied in response to John's question, but I have survived a brutal childhood. But if you want to test me, John, I'll accept it. After giving the boy a blank stare, John said, I will not test one who has been tested by life. The flashback has ended. To match it, John was dressed in a smart business suit and a black coat. While Naruto was away, John put on some glasses and went in search of someone who might be able to assist him. It's time to say hello to Mr. Hoffman. The following day, elsewhere in Konoha. The soundtrack for Sakura's theme, Help Them Saw 4. Sakura awoke in her room this morning. Sakura gazes at the black coat she was wearing the night she abducted Larry. Her pig mask was in her hands, and she gazed into its vacant eyes. She successfully set up a trap that altered Larry's and his daughter's lives. News broke that Larry was now dating a lovely woman, which was great because it meant that Larry was starting over. Sakura slept well and felt amazing because she had made a difference in someone's life. She felt so good, she felt incredibly happy, and she was a completely different person now because of Naruto. Even now, she acknowledged that what she had done to Naruto was wrong, and she was making it up because she loved him. Naruto was the only male genin to tell her that she was the one for him and that he loved her at that very moment. She was his girlfriend, his lover, and all his own. However, they weren't by themselves. Ino was Sakura's best friend and sister. Sakura thought Ino would see Naruto the same way she did, and she hoped her first trap would work as well as Sakura's. Sakura dressed, styled her hair, and left the house, informing her mother that she would be leaving today to take the Chunin exams with Naruto and Sasuke. Her mother informed her that she hoped she would do well on the tests. Academy of Ninja. Sakura arrived to find Naruto had just arrived, and Sasuke was waiting for them both. Sweet-dropping at his teammates, Sasuke asks, "Both of you are late, are you picking up from Kakashi?" Sakura and Naruto share a nervous laugh. Team 7 headed for the higher levels. Naruto was dressed differently, resembling his orange jumpsuit except for the orange hood. As usual, Naruto wore his headband around his head. Sasuke also noticed that Sakura and Naruto were much closer because they spent so much time together. Kakashi was there to welcome the team when they reached the upper floors. To get his students' attention, Kakashi closed his favorite orange book and said, "Ah, glad to see all three of you made it. Now all of you are ready to take the exams." The three nodded simultaneously, but Kakashi stopped Naruto before he could enter. "Hey Naruto, after this do you want to get some ramen?" The masked ninja asked him. When Kakashi asked Naruto if he wanted some ramen, he was taken aback and had a look of surprise on his face. Following that, though, Naruto grinned and said, "Sure, Kakashi-sensei, I would love that." There were numerous genins from Mist, Leaf, Suna, Cloud, Grass, Rock, and the newest ones from Sound in the classroom when Team 7 arrived. Everyone had their game face on and appeared unfriendly, ready to take these tests seriously. Naruto read each of their faces one by one while maintaining a light-hearted gaze on his friend. He questioned whether they were genuinely prepared to take these tests or if they were merely playing around for fun. Sakura stood by Naruto's side as if she could read everyone's faces. She didn't like that everyone was acting so serious when they weren't. It's your first time, so you have to be serious, but that doesn't mean you can't be yourself. When Naruto and his team turned to face Team 10 Shikamaru, Ino, and Choji, Sasuke maintained his composure as usual while a familiar voice called out to the group, "So you guys are here taking the exams, huh? Should have known." The voice laughed amicably. Ino waved amiably at Naruto and Sakura, while Naruto grinned broadly at his second pupil and Sakura grinned at her best friend. Sasuke frowned and merely stared at Shikamaru, saying, "Yeah, I didn't think there would be so many genins here." The arrogant voice said, "Well, this year exams will be the best because we're here." Naruto laughed, knowing who it was. Kiba should have known you guys would make it as well. Together, Kiba, Shino, and Hinata made up Team 8. A young man with white hair, glasses, a purple and light purple outfit, and a leaf headband said, "So you guys and girls must be the young newbie rookies to be taken in this year Chunin exams." In a voice unfamiliar to the 9 rookies. Naruto said, "Who are you? I've never seen your face before." His eyes were fixed on this new man. He didn't appear dangerous, but he was a new face. "The name's Kabuto, pleasure to meet you all. So you taken the exams, huh? Well, good luck, this is my 7th time taking this exam." Kabuto's words startled everyone, leaving them exposed and on guard as he told them about his difficult time handling the exams. However, Naruto was unfazed by his words and would take the test and pass it, even if it meant repeating the same questions over and over. The glasses-wearing leaf ninja grinned at Naruto and said, "Nice try acting tough, kid, but there is no need to start act like this is nothing, especially in front of your lady friends." Naruto laughed heartily. Temari and Kankuro observed from a distance as Kabuto told everyone about the remaining tests and his unique, ninja's cards, Gaara, pointing out that they were also awake. Zack, Kin, and the Sound Genin Dosu heard Kabuto mention that the Sound Village is a small and unknown village. Dosu, Zack, and Kin used sound waves to attack Kabuto in a surprise attack that caused him to throw up. "You 3 Sound Genin, do you want to be taken out right before the exam can even begin?" The Junin ask as they arrive in the classroom just as a big puff of smoke covers the floors. Ibiki Morino was the head leader of the Junin who had participated in this class. He was the most rugged ninja that the 9 rookies had ever seen. Everyone abruptly stopped talking so they could hear what he had to say. Sakura was seated roughly 2 seats behind Naruto, and Sasuke was seated 3 seats to the right of the two. Naruto acknowledged that he was a little anxious about the test, which was written on paper and most of the questions had no real significance for them. Nevertheless, he would try his best to respond to them. Half of the genin who came here were either caught cheating or lacked the necessary skills to complete the remaining tasks. Those who stayed, however, were aware of what they had to endure. This reminded Naruto of something else. Flashback. Outside John's hiding place. Naruto and John were strolling together in a typical friendly manner. As they strolled down the streets together, John wore gray sweatpants, a gray sweatshirt, and a gray hat to go with his bright blue coat and black warm head. Naruto, may I ask you a question about your home? Naruto nodded as they were walking. Those who you cherish, will you do anything to keep them alive and safe? Naruto reflected on John's query. Yes, I would do anything. Even though Sakura likes Sasuke a lot, I do anything in my power to make her live a happy life. She's very important to me. Friendship is important to me as well. I never really had a friend. So that why when I make a friend I try my best to keep that friendship alive. I see, John said with a slight smile before returning to his usual frown as his young pupil questioned, why do you ask John? John's statement, I want to know more about you. There is nothing wrong with knowing something about someone. What the point of judging a person's character without knowing them to begin with, was profound and accurate. I agreed, John. Naruto laughed softly but let out a sigh. I wish Kakashi-sensei would be like you, wishing to know me for the person I really am. And Sasuke, well, he's another story to me. He's just normal guy who just luck with the ladies and respect by others. I had to gain that respect but I still don't have it, yet. In time you will, Naruto, just be yourself. People are like books, you just have to read them. Take your time reading that book, look at its pages, see how soft or rough it feels or looks. Their lives are written in like chapters, the good, the bad and the ugly of all the events that happen in our lives. The human life is like a book from beginning until the end. But you, Naruto, you are different. John laughed softly and coughed twice. Why do you believe I'm different? I'm not so different from everyone else, John. Sure, I'm an orphan but I'm human like everyone else. My life is a chapter of my book. John gave Naruto a hug. You will see one day, I promise you. Care to grab something to eat? John went ahead of Naruto, who left to worry about him because he wasn't feeling well and might be a weird guy. However, aside from Sarutobi, he was the kindest elderly man he had ever encountered. Final flashback. Ibiki explained the 10th question to everyone shortly after the exam's first half ended, emphasizing that their continued presence indicated that they were all prepared to participate in the second half. However, everyone left the classroom shortly after a stunning adult woman named Anko unexpectedly entered the room. Her behavior was odd. The lower levels. As Sasuke left the group, Naruto and Sakura were strolling together, and they were okay with him telling them he would see them later. Sakura was grinning, showing that she was having fun with Naruto as a boyfriend ought to. Shortly after Sasuke left the group, Ino arrived and said to the couple, I want to have a word with you. The 3 genins then went somewhere more private. When the 3 genins arrived at the training ground, a small lake, they were by themselves. Sakura looked at her boyfriend, wondering if this was true, and said, all right Ino, we're alone, so what do you want? Ino had a troubled expression on her face. I saw how you were looking at everyone, Naruto. Please tell me you're not going to put them in a trap, are you? Sakura asked her best friend. In response to Ino's query, Naruto grinned at the 2 stunning genin and said, I can't lie, I was looking at everyone. But I did promise Sakura-chan no traps during the exams. So I can't break my word to her. I am just watching them, learning from watching them. From what I saw, mostly of them aren't that bad, just misguided, that's all. You promise, Naruto. Promise that you won't put anyone in your exams until the exams is over. Ino spoke to Naruto while the Uzumaki merely, I promise Ino-chan, you have my word. I am just looking, that is all. But I will say this, the only way I will break that promise, if the person I see the person is a scum of scum, I will have to break that promise. I gave my word that I will make my home a safe place, that I could help change the lives of others. Ino said to Naruto, sometimes you can't help everyone. After briefly closing his eyes, Naruto opened them again and said, I know sometimes they have to help themselves. Right now there is no need for me to act. He sighed and took a moment to reflect, but his time was soon over. Tomorrow we will be in a forest for 3 days, who knows what could happen. Well, I need my rest, I'll see you ladies later. And Ino, I would love to see how your trap goes. Naruto grinned and walked away. Sakura didn't appear to be too concerned about her boyfriend, but Ino whispered his name under her breath because she knew what he was doing. Although Ino was still learning the ropes and hadn't set her trap yet, she still had faith in him. Sakura, however, assured her best friend, "Let it go, Ino. Don't worry, he'll be fine. I know Naruto, and he never breaks his promise." The hideout of Naruto. Naruto grinned and said, "Off finish, I'm done." He had just completed his trap and called Blood Judge. He even used his shadow clones to test it, and thus far, the trap has proven to be very effective. As he closed up his hideout and took care of the area, Naruto sealed his trap inside a light blue scroll that said, "Took longer than I thought, it doesn't matter." Nevertheless, Naruto heard a voice saying, "Naruto," and he recognized the person. "Yes, Ino." Naruto turned to face the stunning blonde. "What's with the long face?" Ino asked, looking upset. When Ino noticed a scroll in Naruto's right hand, she said, "You just finish up." Behind his back, Naruto slowly conceals the scroll, saying, "I see the scroll, you don't need to hide it." "What brought you here, Ino?" Naruto asked, crossing his arms over his chest while he placed the scroll on the table behind him. With a little flush on her face, Ino approached Naruto and took the scroll, saying, "I want to help." She said, "I need help on how to make a trap." Naruto's smile gave Ino the reason to blush, and she replied, "Sure, I'll help you. I'll teach you, Ino, how to change lives." With his arms extended, Naruto grinned at Ino, but Ino abruptly reached out and buried her face in his chest, asking, "Ino." Her action startled him when Ino looked up at him and made eye contact, but all Naruto could see were tears in her eyes. "Tell me," he said, seeing in Ino's eyes that she wanted to tell him something very important, but she shook her head and said, "I can't." The surprise eye in his eyes vanished and was replaced by his kind, normal, friendly eyes. Ino simply shook her head, saying, "I can't. If I do, it will be breaking your rules." "Why?" he asked. "You can tell me anything, Ino. If it's a secret, I'll keep it a secret." "Someone you know, isn't it?" Ino nodded. "Is it your father?" Ino shook her head. "Then who is he?" Ino stopped crying and told Naruto about the person she knew. "Naruto, have you ever met my mother?" she asked. After a moment of reflection, Naruto asked himself, "Now that I think of it, I've never met your mother. What is the problem, Ino?" In an attempt to understand Ino's problem, he was being reprimanded by her, but Ino eventually provided Naruto with the solution. Zepp Overture Sai soundtrack, Ino's theme too. "I want judgment. People don't know, even Sakura doesn't know, but when I was a little girl about 4 years old, my mother was murdered before my very eyes. It happened my parents' 4th anniversary of their marriage. I was young, I was scared, I didn't know what to do. I felt so powerless." Ino hugged herself, feeling ashamed and chilled at the mere thought. "Does he lives here in Konoha?" Naruto nodded. "Is why you became a ninja, so you can one day kill your mother's murder?" Naruto didn't want to tell her that what she was doing was wrong, but it wasn't the right answer. Ino nodded. "No, he was from Mist. I remember those cold sick eyes of his, laughing while I was calling out to my mother, 'I want revenge, I want to see him suffer, I want justice.'" "Yes," exclaims Ino. "Ino, I know my words will reach or will not reach you. I know what you will say if I say let it go or find another way. But I know the answer you will give me. I will tell you this and listen to me. If you allow me, I will take care of this, Ino. But you must focus on what is ahead of you, do you understand? I was raised by a family, so I would never know the love between a mother and child. But I do see revenge, and revenge will not make you feel better." His words were genuine, but what could she do, since it has been more than 8 years since she lost her mom? But Naruto placed his hands on her shoulders. "I will help you, Ino, I will help you, but the trap will be your doing. I want to see this man who murders your mother, can he changes or will he die as the scum he is?" "Thank you, Naruto, I feel so better. I'm glad I found someone who can help me." She grinned. A new voice said, "I am your best friend and yet even you couldn't tell me." They turned to see Sakura on the stairs. "Sakura," Ino frowned, knowing that her best friend was going to curse her. "Why didn't you or your father tell us?" she asked. She started crying again, and both Sakura and Naruto were upset to see her cry. "I don't know, I was young, but my dad said he would make everything better. But I just couldn't forget my mother, she gave birth to me. Because of her I just can't let her death go unanswered. It's just not fair. Why did he attack us?" Naruto looked at Sakura, who nodded her head and took Ino as the girls left the basement, leaving Naruto with a new mission in mind. Naruto let Ino cry in his chest as he told his second student, "Ino, I promise I will help you. I promise you have my word this man will see the face his crimes." Naruto smiled slowly as he had the perfect idea, but all he needed was Ino. This is her game, her first trap, but that doesn't mean Naruto couldn't help his beloved student Ino. "I promise Ino you have my word, he will pay for his crimes. He will know pain and suffering unlike any other. He will play my game and justice you so desire will be delivered." Naruto Uzumaki never break his promises. The games have just started. While Sakura and Ino departed and returned to Konoha, Naruto remained alone in the mansion. He was thinking about what he could do, what he can do, what he will do, and what he needs to do. Even though the mansion was dark and deserted, and the living room was alone, Naruto was unfazed. Before asking himself, "What would you do, John?" Naruto simply stood there pondering. After locking the mansion in the hidden forest and leaving for Konoha, Naruto sighed and said, "I need some sleep. I'm tired. Mind if I join you girls?" Naruto asked with a sweet smile as he met up with Ino and Sakura. As the three of them walked back home together, the girls smiled warmly at Naruto. Streets in Konoha, Naruto said, "Well girls, see ya tomorrow and I wish you all a good night." As he left, a warm smile filled the chilly midsummer night. After telling Sakura that she would see her tomorrow, the two best friends, sisters parted ways and went back to their homes. Sakura's house. The bedroom of Sakura. Sakura was unable to sleep because she was constantly wondering what Naruto was up to, what he was doing, and what new project he had recently begun. She became anxious about him because she couldn't stop thinking about it. Sakura sighed softly as she went to her home phone and chose to call Naruto. The phone kept ringing, ringing, but after the fifth ring, someone answered. It was Naruto, who sounded drowsy when he said, "Hello." Sakura grinned at his voice. "Naruto, there's something I want to talk with you about." "What do you want to talk about, Sakura-chan?" "It's about the man. The one who helped you help me. I want to meet with him." He asked in a slightly worried voice. "John. You want to meet with John? What made you want to do this, Sakura?" "Because I want to thank him. If it weren't for him I would still be the same old me. I would never know you were the one who truly loved me because I had your heart and I never knew it," Sakura said, closing her eyes briefly before opening them again. "Sakura-chan." Naruto pauses briefly. "Very well, Sakura, I'll think of something. I know John. He would really like to meet you. You're not a bad person, Sakura, you had to look in the other way. I loved you and I always will. I'll protect you no matter what. I would give my life for you. Good night, Sakura, I'll see you tomorrow." With a startled expression in her stunning green eyes, Sakura asked herself, he loves me so much, would he even play through a game to save me? After Naruto hung up the phone. At that moment, Naruto told her that he loved her and always would. She would keep thinking about those words. Not sure. Sakura was lying on the floor when she woke up. The air was freezing, and so was the floor. Sakura, unable to see at all, looked around. She was in a cold, dark room. She said, "Where am I?" "Sakura." She heard two voices she recognized. As Sakura stood up from the floor as the lights came on, she thought to herself, those voices, no, that can't be. Sakura briefly shielded her eyes with her left hand. She witnessed two individuals being hanged by odd apparatuses. When Sakura saw that the two in front of her were Naruto Uzumaki and Sasuke Uchiha, her eyes widened in terror. What brings them here? Sakura pondered. They appeared to be in a locked room as she surveyed the area. Sakura became aware of a change in herself. Once more, her hair was long. Sakura's back was to a big screen. The puppet that appeared on the screen was the same puppet that Naruto used in Sakura's first trap, but it looked more like a female. The puppet appeared to be Ino as Sakura gazed at it. The puppet said, "Hello, Sakura. I want to play a game." At this very moment, Sakura's worst fears were coming true, and she fell to her knees. Suddenly, a device appeared from above that showed Ino. For years you claimed to have Sasuke Uchiha as the love of your life. This claim nearly ruined the friendship and sisterhood you have with your best friend Ino. Like Naruto and Sasuke, Ino was strapped to the machine by her arms and legs, but she was unique because she had an X mark on her head. "Sakura," Ino asked, her voice trembling. "Naruto Uzumaki, you worked hard so hard to show Sakura you were her one and only true love of her life. Yet for years she has shot you down. But once you finally have her heart, do you truly believe you finally have her heart? Or does Sasuke still have it? Tonight you will decide the fate of your friends and loved ones Sakura. Who should live versus who will live. But who shall live is up to you. You have 6 minutes to decide. There are 2 keys in front of you. You must decide the one you want to stay alive and the one you truly love. If you do not decide before time runs out, all 3 will die. Does true love overcome even the greatest of friendships? Live or die, make your choice. Sakura had 6 full minutes to decide the fate of these 3 individuals in her life, according to a massive screen timer that replaced the TV screen. Sakura noticed 2 keys when she looked down at her feet. Both keys had markings on them. Friendship on the second key and love on the first. Sakura's heart was pounding because she had the power to decide their fate. Sakura-chan, free me. Please free me, you know what is right. You know the truth, said Naruto. Sasuke struggles to free himself and says, Sakura, help me. You got to get us out of here. Ino remained silent. She closed her eyes, anticipating Sakura's response and the decision her best friend would make. Sakura, come on, don't stand around. Free us, get me and Naruto out of here, Sasuke said. Naruto snarled at the Uchiha, saying, Sasuke, you fool, only 1 key will set you and me free. Sasuke looks at Naruto. You're the idiot. Sakura is our teammate, she's a part of the team. She knows what to do, what key free us. What about Ino? We can't let her die. Ino shed a tear and felt her heart shatter into pieces. She isn't a part of our team. She's a ninja like the rest of us. She knows the risk. Ino is genuinely curious about Sakura's thoughts. Would she betray her once more in order to win Sasuke's heart, or would she remain her sister and best friend? There are 4 minutes left on the clock. Sakura went over to Ino and grabbed the lock beneath her after grabbing the friendship key. Ino opened her eyes at the sound of the lock unlocking, realizing that she was now free and her locks were unlocked. Sakura caught Ino after he fell. Sakura, Ino asked with a startled expression. As Naruto grinned at Sakura, Ino gave her a tight hug and said, Ino, I'm so sorry. I never want us to be enemies. You're my best friend and my sister, I love you. He told himself. She made the right choice. As Sasuke put it, Sakura used the key free me. Naruto was absolutely correct when he said, like hell Uchiha. Sakura-chan will use the key on the one she truly loves. You can't make her choose, she must decide who she loves, me or you. Sakura felt as though someone had stabbed her in the heart with a large knife because of the intense pain in her chest. Sakura, snarled Sasuke. Sakura, what choice you make. I want you to know I love you and I always will. You are my true love, so make your choice. Even if you pick Sasuke, I won't hate you. Naruto grinned at Sakura and waited for her to make the decision that would determine the fate of the 2 boys who each had a special place in her heart. Sakura glanced at the timer, which had 6 seconds remaining. Sakura turned the heart over and read, follow your heart, love or hate which deserve to be free. Freedom is the ultimate price. Sakura was finally struck by it at that very moment. Sakura used the key on Sasuke after running over to him. Sasuke waited for the sound of freedom and grinned down at Sakura, saying, you made the right choice, Sakura. Help them now, playing Sakura's theme. Sakura's cheeks began to well up with tears as she said, I did, Sasuke. Please forgive me. Naruto said, I forgive you, Sakura-chan. When Naruto heard his locks being unlocked, he opened his eyes. Naruto's expression was one of surprise as he fell to the ground. Sakura rushed to give Naruto a strong embrace. I love you too, Naruto. When the maker reached 0, the time ran out. Sasuke's horrified eyes enlarged. Sasuke yelled, you idiot, why didn't you free me? Tell me why, Sakura. Sakura cried as she yelled, because I don't love you anymore, Sasuke Uchiha. I never would throw away the lives of my best friend and my love for you. Forgive me, Sasuke, but I have made my choice. She didn't want to make the decision because she wanted everyone to live, but life is cruel and everyone must make sacrifices in order to survive. Sasuke attempted to escape, but time was up. You idiot, you bitch. You're useless, you always been useless. He exclaimed. He had no key to unlock the locks that were sealed on him. He was now tightly bound by the locks on his arms and legs. Abruptly, there was a loud noise emanating from above the room. A big buzzsaw was slowly descending from the ceiling, directly above Sasuke's head. Sasuke was aware that his life was over. Sasuke yelled, you bitch, you fucking useless idiot. The room's door unlocked as someone said, you have your freedom. As the 3 of them left the room together, Naruto took Sakura's right hand and Ino took her left. Sasuke's death scream was a violent and graphic sound, and his blood stained the walls and his guts poured bloody paint onto the floors. The door closed on its own and the lights in the room went out when Naruto, Sakura, and Ino had left. The secret to a happy life is true friendship and true love. Sakura opened her eyes abruptly and saw that she was in bed in her room. Nothing more than a dream. However, her emotions and heart felt incredibly genuine and authentic during that dream. Sakura had moved past her infatuation with Sasuke Uchiha and was now more concerned with her future with her best friend and true love. I am truly reborn. Someone knocking on Naruto's door woke him up. It was only 5 o'clock in the morning, so Naruto noticed that whoever it was quite early. Surprised to see who was standing in front of him, Naruto got out of bed and opened the door. When it was Ino, she was already dressed, but her long ponytail was not tied. Ino's long, gorgeous blonde hair was out. Prior to Sakura cutting her hair, Ino's hair was the longest Naruto had ever seen in his life. When Naruto saw tears streaming down Ino's face, he scowled and opened his arms, causing Ino to press her face against his chest before shutting his door. He sat down next to Ino and instructed her to sit on his bed. He asked the stunning blonde, "Ino, tell me what's wrong. I'm having nightmares of my mom. I can't stop thinking about her, and her killer." Ino raises her fists. As Ino looked at Naruto, Naruto placed his left hand on his right shoulder. Ino turned away, her face ablaze with rage. "You feel helpless and afraid. I know that feeling, but even if you find him, getting your revenge won't make you feel better." However, Ino felt Naruto's left hand resting on her right thigh, drawing her attention to him. Ino scowled as her eyes started to well up with tears again. "Ino, I'm serious. It won't heal the heart. I know, I've seen it. Ino, I believe in you and so does Sakura. I don't know what to do. I'm afraid, but I want to make him suffer. I never been so afraid in my life, not since the day my mother died. I don't want to bring pain to other, but I just want to make him remember the pain he caused to me." Ino wept. After hearing Ino's account of losing her mother at such a young age, Naruto detested seeing her cry. Ino puts her head on Naruto's left shoulder. Naruto wished he could help Ino in any way he could, but he had no idea what the murderer looked like or where he was. "Naruto," Ino said, capturing Naruto's undivided focus. "Do you like me? Do you think I'm pretty?" Ino asked shyly just before she spoke, looking into Naruto's blue eyes and pleading with him to respond while Naruto grinned at her. Naruto became interested in what Ino was up to. "Ino, you're pretty, very pretty. Why do you ask?" he asked. Ino appeared to be extremely reserved. "It's just, I always tried my best to get Sasuke's attention. Like Sakura, I had a big crush on him, but now after what you did, you helped us. I see him different now." Naruto gave Ino a mean look, but his mean gaze vanished when he saw that Ino was looking away in embarrassment. "You know I love Sakura very much and she's my girlfriend and both of you are best friends. I won't get between you two. I won't have you fight because of that." As Naruto smirked and smirked at Ino, Ino laughed joyfully and said, "If it makes you feel better, I like you too, Ino, but I only like you. I love Sakura." Naruto grinned and said, "Feeling better?" Ino grinned and said, "A little." Naruto returned to his bed, saying, "Good, now I can go back to sleep." "Naruto," Ino said, glancing down at Naruto. "Yes, Ino. Can I sleep with you?" "What?" Naruto sighed as he crawled under his covers and said, "No, not like that. I can sleep by you. I don't want to go back home, your place is closer to Sakura's." Ino crawls under Naruto's covers and cuddles up to him, saying, "Fine, come on," while the cover's still warm. With Ino facing his back, Naruto turned away. Before closing her eyes, Ino said, "Thank you, Naruto." Naruto grinned as he turned to face her. For the time being, it was the least he could do to assist her. A few hours later, the Death Forest. About 2 hours before the show begins, Naruto, Sakura, and Ino arrive at the Forest of Death. The three were the only people in the vicinity. The girls and Naruto leapt over the gate and into the Death Forest. The three came to a stop in an ideal location for the start of the test. Each of the three was dressed in a black theatrical robe. Naruto wore a mask that resembled Billy quite a bit. Sakura and Ino both wore the pig mask. Both Naruto and the girls raised their masks. Sakura nodded her head as Naruto said, "Sakura, I need you to make a shadow clone of me while I finish placing the trap." Ino said, "What do you want me to do?" "For now, Ino, nothing. First we must take care of our first test subject, then we can move on to the next, do you understand? Ino raises her eyebrows. Naruto pulled a scroll from his robe and opened it to reveal what was inside. Sakura and Ino were a little taken aback by the trap that Naruto had concealed inside the scroll. There were 2 enormous empty boxes on a stand with 2 buttons on it, each button had a word on it. Of the trap, Naruto said, "Blood Judge." Sakura grinned and applauded her boyfriend, saying, "Wow Naruto, you took the time to create this." Sakura blushed for a moment, but she later realized that her first trap had been helpful. "Hey, don't look so surprised, your first trap was wonderful." Naruto glanced at Ino, who briefly scowled. "Ino, I look forward to see your trap as well." Ino nodded her head, her frown changing to a smile. Sakura nodded and put her mask back on her face as she and Ino ran off to complete the task Naruto had given them. "Alright, you two go, I need to finish the rest of this trap." Sakura makes sure Gaara, Temari and Kankuro goes to gate number 7. 2 hours later, entertaining in the Forest of Death. Everyone had shown up and was prepared to take the tests in the forest. Sakura, Sasuke, and Naruto, Sakura's clone disguised as Naruto, stood apart. Everyone else was prepared to take the tests. Ino pretended to be happier than she actually was, acting like her typical self. Ino didn't want to see the person she saw when she turned to look to her right. Among the group of genins that had arrived, there were not many senseis. The sensei of the genin of mist was present. Ino froze, her eyes widening. As Sakura approached her best friend to find out what was wrong, she noticed that Ino had abruptly froze up. Sakura's voice jolted Ino out of it, saying, "Hey Ino, what's wrong?" Ino said, "Huh, Sakura, what is it? You froze up, what's wrong?" Sakura frowned, rapidly becoming concerned for her friend. Sakura glanced at the sensei of the Mist Genin's team, but Ino shook her head and turned away. Sakura questioned, "It's him, isn't it?" Ino remained silent, assuming that the reason Ino didn't talk to her was fear. Sakura gave Ino a shoulder shake and said, "Ino, don't be like this, not now. You need to keep it together." "You're right Sakura, he'll pay for what he did." Ino nodded her head, but she had to pull herself together. After clarifying that everyone's primary objective was to locate the tower in the center of the Death Forest. However, there are 2 scrolls, the Earth Scroll and the Heaven Scroll. They had to locate and steal the scroll from the opposing team while each of them had one of the others. Gate 5 was assigned to Team 7, Gate 7, which was flawless, and Gate 8 to Team 10. Everyone rushed through the gates as soon as they opened. In other parts of the Forest of Death, the sound of the gates opening reached Naruto. Knowing that the moment was right, Naruto smiled. When Naruto looked up, he saw that Team Suna had just leapt over him. It's time to begin. In the meantime, the trio of Suna ninjas leapt from one tree branch to another. It was Kankuro who spoke first. Kankuro grinned and asked, "Where can be the best choice of picking off the would-be ninjas?" Gaara said, "Any of them will do." Temari told her younger brothers, "Just don't get too much trigger-happy, guys." Gaara remained silent as Kankuro rolled his eyes. Temari simply closed her eyes and sighed. Gaara and Kankuro leapt farther ahead of Temari. Wishing she were nearer to her brothers, Temari scowled. She was the older sister, and worst of all, they hardly ever paid attention to her. Although it wasn't his fault in the first place, Gaara didn't really care for them. Temari heard a sudden sound behind her. When Temari turned to look behind her, she saw no one. Temari turned back to face forward, but neither Gaara nor Kankuro were there. Temari was afraid that they would either get ahead of her once more or choose to make fun of her. "Gaara, Kankuro, where are you?" Temari exclaimed as she stopped and fell to the ground. To her left, Temari heard a twig twitch. Temari glanced quickly to her left, but there was nothing there. Temari grinned and sighed. After Temari briefly let her guard down, someone grabbed her from behind. Temari tries to flee, but the unidentified individual covers her nose with a rag, forcing her to inhale. Temari fainted quickly, but not before a voice addressed her. "You will become a part of something much greater, Temari. Soon you will see firsthand of my work." Other places with John. John's shelter. John was reading a newspaper while standing up and drinking. John was a man sitting in a chair with straps attached to a double-barrel shotgun beneath him, sipping his warm coffee as before. John was staring at the man when he woke up. "You know why you're here, don't you? They say imitate is form of flattery." John laughs briefly, "But I find somewhat distasteful being given credit for work that's not mine." John displays the newspaper to the man. The pendulum murder was committed by a jigsaw murderer. John sets the newspaper down on a nearby table and says, "Especially inferred work." John continued to focus on the man in front of him. The man in the chair trap began to struggle slowly as John walked away, saying, "Like you, I know how it feels to lose family. I know what it's like to be unable to protect loved ones. It's a powerless feeling." John told the man, No, I wouldn't do that." John picked up a huge mirror and held it up to the man, to allow him to see his current condition. John said, "Hair trigger," to the man. "What do you see?" John asked the man after he had calmed down. Vengeance can change a person. Make you into something you never thought you were capable of being. But unlike you, I've never killed anyone. I give people a chance." The man asked, "You call this a chance?" John gazed and said, "We'll see, our game just begun." "Our game? You don't even know me." The man said to John. "Oh, I know you. I follow you as you pursue me. I know you, I know about your sister. How you cared for her, how you loved her. I know she was your only family you had left." Mark Hoffman was the man's name. Mark recalled the agonizing memories of his sister's death. The only person he loved and cared about, only to have her brutally murdered by her boyfriend and taken away from him. The memories frightened Mark so much that he briefly closed his eyes. John shook his head slowly and said, "You go to bars, drink so you can sleep. You stagger in your car and start the next day." In order to punish Seth, his sister's boyfriend, Mark set up a trap. You can display justice and give people the chance while they grumble their lives at the moment." John gives a nod. John approached Mark. "By the way, the blade on your pendulum was inferred. If you want to give a true edge, you have to use temper steel. Temper is better for the long haul. You in this for the long haul, detective?" John inquired. Mark shouted, "What you want from me? The same kind of treatment you did to Seth was a public service." John laughed. "He didn't deserve the chance. He was an animal." Mark shook his head, saying, "She was my only family." John yelled, "Everyone deserves a chance." At Mark. Mark yelled back, "You didn't see the blood. You didn't see what he fucking did her." John could only see grief, rage, and guilt in Mark's eyes. John said to Mark, "Killing is distasteful to me." With tears in his eyes, Mark glares at John and says, "There is a better way." Mark said, "Tell me what you want." John sat close to Mark, gripping the shotgun's trigger. Fear began to grow inside Mark. His heart began to pound. Look, exclaims John. "Tell me what you want." John said to Mark, "I want to know, do you have what it takes to survive?" John pulled the trigger, but nothing happened as Mark closed his eyes and the straps came loose. Tears streamed down Mark's face as he opened his eyes. Mark thought John was playing with him, so he turned to face him and yelled, "Fuck you, fuck you." No ammunition was in the shotgun. "See, this is a different method we're talking about. When my subject survives my method, she or he is instantly reborn as a new person." John clarified for Mark. John said to Mark, "Now do you want a chance?" "Do you?" With a nod, Mark said, "I'll give you a chance. I'm the man you called Jigsaw. It's your duty to bring me in. But I know who you are. And I know what you've done." Mark questioned, "So, it's blackmail?" No, this is redemption. I'm just giving an option, that's all. You can bring me in, but know this. Your life ends as you know it, or you can see the world different like I have. A method that helps you sleeps at night." John laughed as he let Mark out of his chair trap. John grabbed the shotgun and sat down close to his desk. Mark noticed a razor blade when he turned to look to his right. Mark picked it up as he rose from the chair and approached John slowly from behind. Mark threatens John, saying, "Or I can kill you right now." John grinned at Mark once more and said calmly, "But you're not a true killer. The information I have is right where it needs to be, and will be released upon my disappearance." "Why?" Mark inquired. "Because Mark, I believe even a person like you can be saved. I know this because you are not the first person whose life I've changed." John stated to him. Mark remarked, "They never believe your word over mine." John unloaded the shotgun to demonstrate to Mark that it was indeed loaded with ammunition. "You're willing to take that risk? How would your sister feel? To ruin your own life to protect a corrupt law system that puts murders back on the streets? You're at the crossroad, detective, make your choice." John's approach was correct because he gave opportunities to those who are deserving of another chance. Life is a game. Your timer starts when you are born and ends when you die. There are no winners, losers or tiebreakers. However, the objective is to make the right choices in life. Everyone is given the keys of choices. The keys are the people you know, yourself, and everyone else in the world. Are you prepared to make the right choice? Use the keys life has given you. Or will you cheat your way through life, causing the keys to shatter, and live the rest of your life in regret? Choose wisely, your clock is ticking, detective. After more than 4 minutes of silence, Mark said, "I'll help." Another location. The Forest of Death. The sound of rumbles woke Tamari. When Tamari opened her eyes, she found herself inside what looked to be a see-through box made of paste glass. Tamari couldn't hear Konkoro at all as he pounded on the glass. Tamari turned to look to her left and saw that Gara was in a huge box just like her. Tamari noticed a closed vent above her when she looked up. Gara is in the same boat. Tamari noticed Konkoro pointing downward. Tamari noticed a tape recorder with the label, "Play Me," on it when she looked down. Tamari pressed the recorder to play, and the vent above her opened, allowing the three of them to hear the voice. "Hello, I wanna play a game." This is who the hell? Konkoro pondered in his mind. Tamari, Gara, and Konkoro are brothers and sisters. You are a family, but you are more like enemies than family. Gara, you thought your brother was useless, and I can see that you despise your younger brother. Your father hardly showed any of you the affection that parents should show their children, but he still preferred Tamari over the two of you. Gara, you are envious of your siblings because they were loved while you were abandoned. Today, Konkoro, you have the opportunity to decide how the family you were related to will fare. The gadget that will determine your family's destiny will be visible there. Who do you think is worth dying and who is worth saving? Konkoro glanced over and saw a device with a left-right switch between the two boxes. Departed for Tamari, appropriate for Gara. Your brother and sister's coffins are the boxes you see in front of you, Konkoro. Gara's will be filled with water, and Tamari's with dirt. You've got 6 minutes to decide. If you do not, you will ultimately suffer and both of you will die. Make your decision to live or die.